Welcome to round 7 of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. We are just over an hour's drive southwest of Brisbane at Queensland Moto Park, a venue bursting with moto action on multiple tracks suitable for everyone from kids on peewees to elite level racers such as those competing here this weekend as we get to the pointy end of our 2022 season and things are getting spicy. Hi, I'm Kate Peck and with me is 11-time national motocross champion Lee Hogan. Haven't the moto weather gods turned on the conditions for today?
They sure have. It is sunny, it's fantastic, but if you had been here yesterday, not the case. Grey skies, pouring with rain, hence why the track is still well and truly into its drying phase, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, let's get into the MX1 Championship title battle because CDR Yamaha Monster Energy's Aaron Tanti has come into this weekend with a healthy 29-point lead. However, HRC's Dean Ferris is ferociously chasing, coming off the back of a double victory from Coffs Harbour. So taking that into account, points, performance, momentum and a few curveballs from Honda, can Dean Ferris catch Aaron Tanti in this championship battle?
Well, gee, 29 points. Isn't it a great little lead to have coming into the penultimate round today here? Aaron Tanti's got to be smiling with that. However, he doesn't want to give up any of those points. I've got a funny feeling if he can leave here going 2-1 for the day or 1-2, equal on points with Ferris, he'll carry that 29-point lead into the last round, which is almost unattainable. Something very, very bad would have to happen. So I think that'll be the strategy. But let's talk about Honda for a second. They have gone all cards in here. They've brought some big key players out. Wilson Todd is going to be racing MX1 on the 450 machine. We've also got Kyle Webster back on the Honda. So they're hoping that these two key players are going to get in the mix and hopefully get in between Ferris at the head of the pack, Tanti back there. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's all playing out to a good story.
Well, let's take a look at the championship standings for MX1. And those are our top two leaders, Tanti, followed by Ferris. Then in equal position, 4th and 3rd, we've got Todd Waters and Brett Metcalf on equal points of 220. And those two are battling it out hard, followed then by Kurt Gibbs. So there is a lot to still unfold in this championship.
Absolutely. Some of the old dogs we've been saying all season. We're not talking about them too much at the moment. We're calling it a two-horse race, really. But they're still in with a chance. They're still in there fighting. And from a weekend-to-weekend point of view, they could do anything here today. Yeah,
well, let's move on to MX2 and that championship because coming into this weekend, Wilson Todd is set to take out the championship. It has been an absolute masterclass this year from him, and he's also looking to dip his toe into the 450 class this weekend, so there's a lot of action that's going to go down here.
It is going to be a busy day for Wilson Todd, that's for sure. There was a little bit of talk that he may not line up in the first MX2 class and leave it up to Reece Budd to have to win to keep this championship alive. I'm hearing now, or we're hearing now, that he will line up and win it the way that I believe it's supposed to be won. So watch this space. Exciting times, but what a season it's been for Wilson Todd. He basically hasn't even dropped a moto.
Yeah, exactly. An absolute masterclass. He is pure perfection out there, so there's still a lot to unfold today. He may not necessarily take the championship. Who knows? Watch this space. Let's go and check out the QMP track ahead with yourself and expert commentator Danny Ham.
Welcome to this week's Michelin track preview at round 7 here at QMP, and once again we're presented with some wet weather leading into it on the Saturday. Now that's not a bad thing because the ground leading into this round was quite dry, but you don't have to go down too far before you start to find some really good soil. Straight off the bat, the riders are going to be presented straight up with a very, very long start straight. Now, if the riders don't get themselves out to a really good jump early on in this one, they're going to be funneled towards the back of the pack and they're going to have a lot of trouble making their way through. Bit of an off-camber first turn. It's actually a two-stage turn. As we walk this way a little bit more, you'll see the second part of the corner just in behind me here actually has the second apex. So it's going to present some different lines going into it before they move into the second turn, which funnels down again to a really tight left. Now this is going to present quite an even start. Now I feel this is going to give them a pretty even start around here. If you get stuck on the inside or the outside, you're going to have them options in the second turn to make some new lines, some passes early on in the race. Lee?
We're standing up here in the most elevated part of the QMP circuit, and doesn't it look brilliant from up here? If you have a little bit of a look over my right shoulder, you can see just how much work's been put into the facility here to get it up to national level. Now, bearing in mind, this place is usually set as a ride park where the average punter can come and ride with their friends on the weekend. So to get it to this state is an amazing job. It looks fantastic. There's a lot of key parts to this track. It's got lots of airtime with some big jumps. It's got lots of elevation. It's got lots of passing opportunities and, of course, really good soil. Now, speaking about passing opportunities, right here, as we can see, we've approached this steep hill up to the highest point, tipping it into a right-hander, and this is going to be our last nice passing opportunity before we get to that checkered flag. You don't need to be Einstein to figure out we've got rain coming out of the sky, we've got platform shoes on here, but history has shown us throughout the series that what we see on Saturday isn't always the case on Sunday, so watch this space. Well, that's your track preview, thanks to Michelin.
Well, what a day we are presented here at QMP. The sun is out, the track is starting to dry. We have certainly got some dry lines out there at the moment, but talking to some of the riders, it is tough right now on the course. There is a lot of different lines out there, but it is hard to go looking for the newest of lines. But we will see that as we get through the day. And this here explains just a little bit of what it's like on circuit at the moment. This is the 65s going out for a possibly a side lap, or maybe these races even started, but it is absolute chaos for these small bikes, these small wheels, to try and get around some of these parts of the track. So a big day ahead of them. I'm sure it's only going to get better for them as the day continues, but right now it is a massive, massive challenge. And Lee Hogan, we have got such a great turnout already with this sun. It did look very dismal yesterday with the rain coming down, but the gods have shone down on us, and already we are starting to get set for such a sensational day of motocross action.
Correct you are, Danny Ham, and have a look at that. What an amazing drone shot. The facility here at QMP in Queensland is spectacular, to say the least, and all the race transporters down there. I can't wait to get these main classes underway. At the moment, our Blue Cruise 65 Cup out there, and as you mentioned, kind of struggling a little bit to get around here at the moment. The poor kids, they were second out in practice, and they were just, really struggling to flick the mud out of those knobs in the tyres and keep those wheels turning.
I was out on track earlier watching as these riders went around, and actually I assisted one of these little kids getting up off the ground. I had a quick chat with him saying how difficult it was out there and it would only get better, and in some very stern words he basically said no, it won't.
He said, go away, Danny.
Yes, go away. You do not know what you're talking about. You're not out here riding with them. But it is the 125 of Heath Davey that's on screen at the moment, and this kid can ride a 65. We have seen him earlier this year. I think it was Maitland. I think the Maitland round, he was absolutely flying, and once again he's looking the goods at the moment. Little front wheel tuck as he went through that one there, trying to search for some new lines. And as you said, they were second on track, so they really didn't have a lot to work with early on. It was just simply slop. And now they're out there learning the track as they go around every single lap.
Well, every minute that goes by, this dirt's starting to get more and more like Play-Doh, where you could almost grab a clump of it and mould it into your hands. It's the type of dirt that you enjoy riding. Even old fellas like you and myself, Hammy, we get out there, we would enjoy this for a little bit, but dramatically this is going to change in the next few races. We're going to start to see ruts getting deeper and deeper. We'll see, the traditional braking bumps and acceleration bumps coming into and out of the corners. That was a great shot there of the base of that uphill jump. And we could see the ruts starting to form already. There's a lot of parts of the track here where these little 65s, you can see the yellow flag flying, little man stuck in a deep rut. Well, you have a look at the choices with the amount of ruts here that these kids can choose from.
Very hard for all of them to get through it, and right now they've just got to try and work their way through. You see Heath Davey just there jumping into the screen, got himself a beautiful line there on the right hand side, just holding it on. But there is a real challenge for these young riders. We did see the 101 just a moment. There he is, just coming through screen. That is Jagger Townley, someone that's probably pretty good in the wet weather. A little bit of a bog hole there, but manages to blast their way through there on these little Yamaha YZ65s. Oh, quick excursion off track. That front wheel gave him a quick tuck, but did very well to stay upright.
And Jagger Townley there, of course, the son of famous ex-motocross racer Ben Townley, as we see another rider having gone down here. Is that number 22 there?
I think so, Addison Leach.
Addison Leach out of New South Wales on that Yamaha 65 machine. So a little bit of a tuck of the front wheel there and some soft stuff, and possibly missed a rut that they were aiming for, and ended up in a part of the track that they didn't really want to be in at the moment. As we see another aerial shot of this track, and you can visually see the lines starting to come together now. It's great to see it start to take formation, and something that, as we witnessed yesterday, Danny Ham, it was an absolute mud bog yesterday, wasn't it?
It was. When we were walking around, like we saw in that track preview, the amount of mud that was sticking to our shoes. But there was good turn underneath, so if we can break through that, maybe they may get a chance to do a little bit of maintenance also with the machines on the track a little bit later. It's going to certainly bring it to life a little bit more. As we see again, Davey just blasting around that corner. I think that is the 24 machine of Cooper Grono. Nice stand-up technique through these deep ruts, keeping those toes up nice and high. I mean, look at the size of the wheels on these bikes, Lee. It's, you and I know, the bigger the wheel, the better in these conditions. So just to try and get these bikes around this circuit is a mammoth effort.
Now, Danny, I'm drawing some parallels here with the last round of the championship that we had at Coffs Harbour, where almost everyone was certain that we were in for a full mud fest on the Saturday. We had that much rain, you could barely even walk your way around the track. The organisers, the promoters of the event and the local club were saying, no, this is going to dry out. We're going to see dust by halfway through the day. None of us believed them. Sure enough, that's exactly what the case was. I think one of the biggest differences, though, from the Coffs Harbour track to what we're seeing here at QMP is the shelf life of the dirt and how much moisture it holds for a certain period of time. I think it's going to take a little bit longer for this dirt to lose its moisture, where Coffs Harbour, you only needed 5 minutes of sunshine and it started to dry out.
There's a very small window of prime track conditions at Coffs. We should see a little bit more here. As we see the 102 machine of Deegan Fort away from the WA. So massive effort to get over here. What a chance for them to get out there on the big boys track and go out and blast around with such a great program by Yamaha, having all of these 65s out on track and also back in the pits there under one single truck, all the bikes and riders together. They get a chance to go around and talk to all of their favourite riders and get to experience what those pro-level riders do as they pit out that Yamaha truck in the pits.
Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative and such a great opportunity for these kids. You know, it's sort of similar to, I guess, you know, KTM, what they do with Supercross in America. Here in Australia, the Yamaha Blue Crew YZ65 Cup, great initiative, but so good for the riders. Like, can you imagine being one of these kids? I know just off camera beforehand we were talking about, can you imagine being a young little Grommy at this age? We had nothing like this when we were a kid.
How exciting. Imagine the smiles, the excitement going into this for all of these riders as they complete through 2 more minutes of their race. I'm really impressed with the style and form of some of these kids. Like the Ford on screen, his stand-up technique, sitting down perfectly in the corners, picking up those lines and blasting through. Really impressive to see as we see the 225 just there, getting a lap put in them. That is Bo Davey, also another rider that we've seen a couple of times out on track. Oh, a little in-swing moment there for Ford as that back end just picked up the backside of that jump. And this is the final turn just before the finish. It's where I picked up the rider earlier on.
Tricky corner, that Alpine Stars turn coming out of that right-hander. And the ruts come together. In qualifying for MX2 and MX1, the amount of crashes that I saw from a rider that would rail the outside and it would hook and lead them back to a rider on the inside rut. And the rider on the inside rut would always end up going down. There was just so many crashes in that corner.
I did get a chance to speak to a couple of riders, and you're right, that's exactly what they were saying, is that those ruts were all coming together, and it's a bit tricky at the moment to try and find the best line around the track. We go back to our leader, and that is the 125 machine, Davey, who has stretched it out by 31 seconds over the next place rider. That is a mammoth lead for this young rider, and I expect to see huge things out of him in the future. I know already he is up on a 185 as well on his way to becoming one of the top riders in Australia.
Beautiful line up that very steep uphill before tipping it into the Pirelli right-hander there. That's the part of the track where I did my track piece, and quite possibly one of those last nice passing opportunities before we start to head down towards the finish line where the corners funnel in. It gets a little bit tighter. Have a look at the dirt through this part of the track. It's really starting to come nice.
And have a listen to the bikes themselves. They sound so trick, these little bikes. The way they're revving up on the start line to get in behind them. They're certainly running on some good petrol, some of these bikes as well. Great smells coming out the exhaust of them as we see Davey again just making his way over that step up. It was quite a hard jump for the big bikes to get over earlier on in practice as he goes towards the finish line. Oh, this is going to be an issue too. Making sure that they keep their eyes up and look for those lines. So once you're locked into one of those ruts, you're going to be stuck there. If you've got a down rider like we just saw, it could bring you unstuck yourself as our leader grabs that last lap board and launches up over that tabletop.
Well, Danny Ham, 5 laps the duration here for the Yamaha Blue Crew 65 Cup, and as you mentioned, the final lap for our race leader, Heath Davey. He has not put a foot wrong. Reaches up to clear his vision. Nearly loses the front wheel in the process. Let's keep her on 2 wheels, buddy. You've done a fantastic job so far. Let's keep on that horse and ride her all the way to the finish.
That was a battle all the way up that straight. Just if you get off that main line, they just put a lap down on Eliza. Where is that? 265 Eliza Dennis a second ago. So many riders, a huge field too for these kids to be out there. It almost filled up the whole gate. It was great to see such a huge turnout for them. And as we said, it is a great opportunity for them to get out there and experience a full pro race day. As we see our leader up again towards the centre part and the new part of the track. All of this being freshly put in, these big jumps up the hill. Oh, landing short that time.
Very short. No problem whatsoever, though.
Certainly has not slowed down at all this entire race. That 65 screaming its way through these ruts. The clutch absolutely burning as he tries to deliver all that power down to the ground of these little 65s.
Well, I remember a young Danny Ham carrying that number 111 on the Suzuki machine. You've had a lot of races where you would have had wins to the caliber of 40-odd seconds right here. And you would know as well as I do that when you're in a league of your own like this, what are you doing? You're racing the clock, aren't you? You'd be going out, your dad, it's not your mechanic, it's your dad, it's you and your family. You're out there and you're racing against yourself, and you would set little goals. And it's not necessarily to beat other riders, it's to beat yourself, to try to achieve certain lap times and to not let the wheels fall off at any stage. You want to look at your list of 5 lap times and what were they each time.
Continually improving, that is the goal right here for these riders, and this is certainly a life lesson for them as they work their way towards the checkered flag. That is Davey on the 125. Oh, 2 lines coming together right there. Exactly what you spoke of just a little bit earlier, Lee. And I think we're going to see that quite often. This double here, that looked very tricky earlier on in the practice sessions for our big bikes, let alone these little ones, as our race leader moves towards that final turn for race number 1. That bike still being dug out. And it will be Heath Davey that takes the win in the first moto out. What a ride.
Good little leap there up and over that finish line tabletop. Not such an easy jump for these little 65s to do. But what a fantastic win there from Heath Davey, taking first place in race 1 of the Blue Crew YZ 65 Cup.
That is Eliza Dennis on screen. They'll complete their race as well. The 51 in front of them as we just wait to see where that 101 machine, who is our next place, Jager Townley, who's some 43 seconds back. There he is right there, just at the bottom of the screen. Another great ride as well. No stranger to these conditions, I'm sure, is Townley.
So let's face it, he's got a pretty good coach in his corner as well. Good old BT.
I'm sure he's certainly done some time in some sloppy conditions and wet, ruddy conditions. The 102 machine of Deegan Fort is going to come across the line in 3rd place as well. Oh, really getting a little sideways there, but up and over. He will complete moto number 1 for the Blue Crew YZ65 Cup.
Now, just to reiterate, Danny Ham, on what you were saying about Heath Davey, a race winner, being in a league of his own. We saw Jagger Townley back there in second place, but as we scan our eyes across to the fastest lap time, we had Heath Davey with a 2:30 and Townley with a 2:38, so 8 seconds off with the fastest lap time there, and that is a monumental difference between those two.
Massive change between them, and you can that's what you're talking about right there earlier, Lee. He will be racing for those times later on. 2:30 is his best in this one. He'll be going out, I'm sure, to try and better that this next time out, and he should be able to do that as the track gets a little bit better, and surely will make it a little bit easier for these little bikes to get around. Have a look at the amount of mud for our leader. You know, generally you see the leader being clean, and I mean, he's not too bad.
Yeah.
But certainly still a lot of mud all over that bike.
You have a think about the accumulated extra weight on that bike. It's not necessarily on the front of the bike being flung up from other riders, just accumulated under the foot pegs and the frame. That thing would be sagged out quite a bit. Let's take a look at the results. The YZ65 Cup, thanks to Blue Crew. In first place, Heath Davey, number 125. Jagger Townley there in second place. Degenfort in third. Lewis Cannon there in fourth place, and Sydney Stevenson rounding out the top five.
His Gaylors come across in sixth place. Hatfield, Dennis, Hargraves and Thompson are your top 10. And look at this, all the way up to fifth place was one lap down. So that was a big effort for our race leader to get right through. As we see some more names of all the riders that are out there enjoying the day, well, hoping they're enjoying the day. As we said, it's hard work on these little bikes to get around this track. As long as they can go out and enjoy it, experience it, and learn from it, they're really going to take a lot away from this weekend.
All right, let's quickly go down to Kate.
With the winner, Heath Davey, congratulations. Tell us how the ride was out there and how the conditions are.
Yeah, the conditions are definitely getting better from practice. I rode pretty good, and yeah, I'd like to keep doing it to get better.
Well done, Heath. Congratulations. Good luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
All right, fantastic job there from Heath Davey, winning race one of the 65 Blue Crew Cup. Time for a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Penrite, a 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only competition can. Penrite, it competes, you win.
AMX and Penrite have joined forces to give away the ultimate moto workshop valued at $5,000. You can set yourself up with the best from Penrite, NetPro, RHK, Motion Pro and much more. To enter, simply purchase any Penrite product at AMX Superstores, scan the code and you're in the draw to win. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? Rush in now to AMX for your chance to win. AMX Superstores, your one-stop shop for all motorcycle accessories, proudly supporting the 2022 ProMX Series.
To the front with the all-new Maxxis motocross tyre range. The next-gen MX lineup features racing-specific compounds and advanced tread patterns that maximise traction at the highest level of racing. Leading product innovations extend across the entire MX range, offering a premium performance option for all types of terrain and conditions. Put the all-new Maxxis MX range to the test.
Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. The penultimate round here at QMP. Our MX2 riders are down, having their sign lap at the moment, Danny Ham. And this is a very important race. We could very well wrap up a championship here.
With the way the day has started off, it is almost looking certain, isn't it, the way that we saw Wilson Todd get out early on and pick up some quick speed in his practice. But before we get to that, let's head down to Kate.
Got Jared Pine, head technician at HRC here. This is a pretty big race for Wilson Todd. What is he thinking about now? Is it championship on his mind? How's he feeling?
Yeah, no, he's pretty cool. Normally he's pretty nervous. He was a little nervous this morning, but now he's got a few rides out of the way now, so he knows what he needs to do. So just keep on, just do it like another race. So he'll be fine.
And mate, he was pretty quick on that 450 out there too.
Yeah, he's surprised me a little bit. Like, he was pretty good during the week, but didn't think he'd go that well. But see how he goes in the race.
Yeah, all right. Well, we can't wait to see you guys celebrating at some stage very soon.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Yeah,
Cheers.
thanks, Jared. Thanks, boys.
Yes, exactly. Well, Danny Ham, you and myself, we were at the launch of the recent Honda 450, the 2023 model at Appin Raceway just last week. And, of course, we had Wilson Todd there, who spent the whole day riding a 450, and wow, was he fast.
We were blown away. Some of the rut speed that he had was something that I haven't seen in a very, very long time. So certainly comfortable on the 450, but right now he's got a job to do on the 250. As you mentioned in the opener, that it was possible that he wasn't going to ride this and just let the gods take care of how the race was going to go. But he has chosen to take fate in his own hands, go out there and pick up some points. He has an absolute humongous lead in this championship, and he really only needs to pick up a couple of points to close this one out. So
he basically just needs to finish, really.
Yeah,
so
essentially just needs to be on track. I don't believe, though, with the speed we saw out of the practice session, that he is going to be settling for that. I'm sure he's going to look at it as we take a quick look at the Pirelli MX2 lineup. Wilson Todd, of course, the number 20 red plate holder. He is there in front of Reese Budd, Jesse Dobson, Buddy Malkowitz, Noah Ferguson, and Nathan Crawford, lead by Rogers, Hugh McKay, Reed Taylor, and Caleb Barham are the top 10 guys out there.
Haruki Yokoyama there on the Empire Kawasaki. Hayden Smith, Chandler Burns, great to have him back from injury. Jace Cosford, Jai Constantino, of course Haruki's teammate there also, was 15th in our qualifying session.
If there's going to be one rider that I feel would struggle in these conditions, it would have to be Haruki Yokoyama with how short he is. Although you don't really want to be paddling your feet around a track like this, he certainly doesn't have that option of putting the legs out where he needs to.
Yeah, you know what, Danny? It's exactly like a tall rider or a short rider through a set of whoops on Supercross. Those short or long legs, they can either work to your benefit or against you. So let's wait and see how that works. However, throughout the season so far, Haruki has seemed to be pretty rock solid through the deep ruts that we have had. And you remember a couple of rounds ago, we made mention of how high he gets that leg up and out of the way. There's no pointing the toe and using that foot as a ski across the dirt. He just gets it tucked all the way up and out of the way under those handlebars. So wishing him the best of luck here. But it is championship points time for the Factory Honda HRC team as they try to wrap it up here at the penultimate round of the championship.
Now, this is going to be interesting for us to see lead off the start where the favoured spot is. Now, general rule of thumb is that you want to be towards the inside gate going into the first turn so that you don't get squeezed out. However, as we just saw from that drone shot just a second ago, the inside, the dark dirt up the middle is still mud slop. So you could be at a bit of a disadvantage if you're sitting on this particular side where we see the 51 machine. Right there where you see our board girls standing there about to put up the board. All that light ground is drier dirt, and that is going to offer a lot more traction heading up that straight, a lot less bulk going up that straight, and could provide a much better run into that first turn.
And let's not forget about the double apex of the first turn. Can allow a little bit of a sweeping effect coming in. Riders will want to carry a nice little bit of momentum. So we're in the starter's hands here for Pirelli MX2. Moto number 1, 15-second board is sideways, and the drop of the gate. We are off for Moto 1.
Look to, well, the centre there, right in the middle. What is that? Oh, dives the front wheel in so hard into that. And that looks like we have a Yamaha there. Reese Budd
Caleb Barham, is that at the head of the pack?
Yep.
Let's just wait to pick that up.
Crawford there also, who's gone down. There's Curbs, Levi Rogers.
Jesse Dobson there was one of those riders on the Serco Yamaha.
Oh, Bud also completely 90 up the hill just there, as you see. Nathan Crawford in behind them. We look back to see where Wilson Todd sits at the moment. I think he was just coming through there in around about 11th or 12th place, possibly 8th across the first timing loop for us on our screen.
So I was very impressed with Reece Budd during time qualifying, Danny Ham. He was fastest right up until the last lap where Wilson Todd leapfrogged him. He is doing everything he can. Reece Budd is the only rider with a mathematical chance of beating Wilson Todd here and being the only rider to have forced him to come out and do this race.
Well, what a shot. The riders launching down that triple step down into this right-hander for the first time. Now, when these guys were on track, there was not one single line out there for them to learn and use through their timed qualifying. So this is kind of a new track for them as they try to learn it nice and quickly. We take a look at the 7-hole shot award going to Caleb Barham. That's our rider that absolutely stove it into that first turn.
He's very lucky to keep it on 2 wheels, really. However, he has a clean track ahead of him at the moment. He's coming under increased pressure from Reece Budd, who reaches up, clears his vision with a couple of pulls of that roll-off tag and sets off after that lead. Nathan Crawford on the factory KTM machine, once again proving to put himself in a good position on the track, finds himself in 3rd place at the moment. Jason Cosford there back in 4th place, and Wilson Todd, he's made up 3 or 4 positions and he finds himself in that top 5.
Neat pass is the pit board for Reece Budd as they went past our mechanics area up the start straight there, starting their 2nd lap on their way around this very treacherous circuit at the moment. There is Crawford just picking up the lines, Cosford behind them, and then Wilson Todd just coming to the screen. Taylor behind them. I think he might have been the one actually that dove that front wheel and almost went down. It was a great start for him early on in this one, but just making his way through. 149. Ferguson with a good start as well in this one. That's Isaac.
Brilliant start from Isaac Ferguson there, but let's just briefly talk about Wilson Todd for a second. He needs to be a little bit torn with where his priorities are, because as we have a look at our Honda replay here coming onto the start straight, we can see the different textures of dirt.
Oh!
That massive tuck at the front end. He went down before he even knew what was going on.
That was quick. He had no idea that was coming. That was the single 2 machine of Noah Mosqua. Sorry if I'm saying that one wrong. There's a blue bike on the side of the track just there. I'm not sure what that is, but it's certainly hitting up the front. Crawford closing in just a little bit, but Budd is doing all the damage at the moment. He has closed it down to 0.8 of a second, and he is starting to find that form that put him into 2nd place in the championship. We could see a battle soon for this lead.
Well, he's got everything to gain and nothing to lose at the moment, is Reece Budd, because he just needs to get out and try to win the race. Let the cards fall as they may. It's Wilson Todd who needs to stay smooth, keep his cool. But I was just about to mention when we popped up that Honda replay before, where is the priorities going to lie with Wilson Todd? We've seen him this morning go out and finish fastest in time qualifying in the MX1 class. He has a good chance of going out and winning this first moto in the MX1 category. So does he try to win this championship nice and easily, not do anything too silly, but shall we say conserve as much energy as he possibly can?
Look at this bike, Budd up the inside, almost making that pass, right on his back wheel at the moment, trying to clear that vision. As you just see on the bottom right-hand screen is the provisional points as they run at the moment. And Budd is doing, as you said, everything he can to make sure he stays in the challenge right now. And he almost made that pass just a moment ago. To go back and answer what you were saying a second ago, Lee, does Wilson Todd take it easy? And I would say yes, he would like to learn the track and go out and really shine in that 450. However, he's proving us wrong right now. He has moved right onto the back wheel of Cosford, who have both closed in on Crawford, and this whole 5-way battle is really shaping up to be something special at the moment. Look at the back of the screen just here. There is Wilson Todd putting all the pressure on Cosford.
And if we have a look at lap times, the last lap around, he was the only one under 2 minutes with a 1:59.8. And our 2 leaders, Caleb Barham and Reece Budd, 2:01s there. Nathan Crawford at 2:01. and Jace Cosford a 2-minute flat. So this little battle we're seeing from 4th and 5th place is dragging them up towards the head of the pack.
No, this could be such an advantage. Riding 2 classes is going to be seen as a disadvantage. You have to do so much more work, but with the track the way it is at the moment, these guys, the 450 guys, are not going to know race lines. It's all good knowing the practice lines early on, what worked well, but when you're trying to make passes and trying to discover new lines, especially with so many laps being done between them, the MX1 guys are going to go into a blind. Wilson Todd is going to know everything about this track before he even gets onto that line of that MX1 class.
You're exactly right, and this benefit's going to be in the early stages of the day. Perhaps it could diminish a little bit as the day goes on, especially when we see the last of the MX1 motos. Imagine if he goes out and wins MX1 Moto 1 after wrapping up the championship potentially here. He has to try to hold on. This could be an absolute dream day for him. Win the MX2 championship, go 1-1 in MX1. There's a bit of a pipe dream here, but it's a possibility.
Well, you can see how Wilson Todd at the moment is exploring the track. Both them last 2 turns, outsides where no one really in the front 4 are going. So he is getting that opportunity to learn some new lines and see what works and what doesn't. But knows the desperation at the moment. Again, closes right onto the back wheel of Burham up the hill. He did get himself a good drive, but going through a lot of these turns, it does, although there is multiple lines, appear to be a little one-lined at the moment. The fact that it just can't make those passes stick. But again, blasts around the outside, gets a good drive through here with this big jump downhill and into that G-out. I spoke to some riders earlier. You really have to be careful at the bottom of these hills because those G-outs are quite nasty.
There was a little mistake from Caleb Barron out of that auto line turn, the right-hander that put Reese Budd right back onto the rear end of him. But once again, proving to be a little bit difficult to get past at the moment. Passing opportunities a few and far between. Almost like you need to force the issue to make it happen. But I really I'm just struggling to see there. I just noticed Nathan Crawford and I couldn't see Jace Cosford. He was all over the back of him a moment ago.
Dropped back just a little bit in the battle between them two. Yeah, you're right. They have dropped back a little bit, but I feel that Cosford is having a great ride at the moment, just trying to fend off Wilson Todd. I'd say that's why they've slipped back just a fraction, but still doing a great job to stick there in 4th.
Well, you know what it is? It's a good response from Nathan Crawford, who's really upped the pace a little bit now and finds himself very close to our 2nd place rider, and that is a little bit of a switcheroo that you don't want to happen. All this hard work that was put in by Reese Budd to get onto the back of Caleb Barham, for Nathan Crawford, if he can get in there and make a pass on Reese Budd, that really throws the points into a mix.
I love the lap times that last time around. 2-minute 9, 2-minute 9, 2-minute 2, 2-minute 9, and a 1:59.8 for Wilson Todd. So this is really heating up at the moment. It's developing into a great race as we see on screen the 1:99 of Nathan Crawford, who was so strong on his return to racing at Coffs Harbour just last round. Barham, though, fighting that bike all the way up that hill.
Well, he's just trying to get creative with his lines. He's gone to the far extremities, that right-hand side of the track. Not only did it have a couple of ledges on the wall, but it dropped him into some very slippery dirt going into that corner. But sometimes you need to get a bit experimental to find a good line, don't you?
Well, exactly what we see. Bart, he was strong around here last time around, but that slight bit of mud just on the exit slowed him up a fraction. Looks to drop to the inside. He was quick at the base through this G-out right up the centre of the track. We see our leader go to the very edge. You can see how those foot pegs almost digging in there and just slowing it up. There is certainly a strong part of the track as we go through turn 1 all the way till they get to the top of the hill for the first time. That there is Reese Budd's strong part of the track. This part here seems to be where Crawford catches up every time.
Yeah, he's got a nice line there, swooping in from the outside and cutting back down. But those G-out lines at the bottom of the hills, Hammy, where all those straight line ruts happen, watch closely with the rider's feet. They get right back to the balls of their feet so that they don't drag their toes underneath the foot pegs and spit them out the back of the bike. It's almost an instant broken ankle if that happens.
Can make a good day turn bad very quickly without even coming off the bike, as we see Crawford still working his way around the track just on the right hand side screen there. It looks like the 86 machine, I think. That's we'll have to confirm that, but that's certainly a hot bike.
86, are we talking Joel Evans perhaps?
No, I know who it is. I just can't think of the name just off the top of my head. Rides the bike very hard, and this is one of those tracks at the moment where you do have to be a little bit tender on the bike so you don't go and heat it up so much and force those bike issues.
Just a rider that I'm seeing here starting to make his way up through the pack, Noah Ferguson, but he finds himself back in 18th place, a rider that we would normally expect to be well up inside the top 10 and quite possibly the top 5. So we didn't quite catch what happened in that footage into the first turn, but I'm wondering if he had a first turn incident there and went down. Didn't look like we saw anyone go down in the first turn, so...
Another rider I saw that was a little bit further back than expected was Malkowitz. He is up to 7th now. Certainly has made a couple of passes, but yeah, that first turn proving very difficult as we see the charge right now by Wilson Todd. He controls the inside and makes the pass stick, although Hosford with a better run here to the inside. It's going to be a drag race up the hill. Who can get through these ruts the best and who has the most power? A great return right there by Hosford. Look at the line though. Wilson Todd trying to find something new into that left-hander.
Getting all Kiwi on us there and trying to go from the outside, cut back to the inside. Shane King would be very proud of that.
Oh, the back end stepping out. And that's the last thing he needs. That there could bring his whole day undone. At what point does he go, okay, that was a little bit close. Let's just back it down and think about the rest of the day.
You can almost see the confusion in his head. He doesn't know how to attack this. Do I want to just sit here, settle in 5th place where I'm currently at the moment, win the championship? Or do I want to just go on a rampage, drop my lap times down about 4 seconds a lap and end up winning this thing? You just don't know. And when you're talking to Wilson, sometimes you wonder if he can actually, if he knows what he wants to do. Now, I think it's just going to be organically what comes to him, what he decides to do. So over the next few laps, of course, 25 minutes plus a lap the duration for MX2 here. We've still got 12 minutes plus a lap on the clock to go.
Just an example out of that first turn, we are starting to already see the hard base that so many riders have spoken about leading into this, and also after the practice that I got a chance to talk to, that there's such a hard base underneath that it's starting to become very slippery. And let's get down to Kate with a little update.
Just spoke to Karen Morrissey, Caleb Byron's mechanic. The reason behind his speed, he thinks this track is very similar to what he's used to at home, the elevation, the terrain. He's just come off a hand injury and he's looking fast.
Yes, and a Queenslander as well, of course. So, it may not be his home track, but when you're in your home state and you know you've got your family and your friends, it definitely has a psychological effect. So, whatever is going on here, this is his standout race so far for the season. He's making the most of it. And with nearly 10 laps to go, 10 minutes to go, he's got himself in a fantastic position on the track.
So, Lee, we saw how it was very sloppy earlier on. We're starting to get down to a track that's going to be a little bit more like what we see at the end of the day. Tyre choice going into this one. Where do you think these boys are sitting? Do you think anyone was crazy enough to run a paddle for the start and then struggling through the rest of this? As I said, down to a very hard base already.
Yeah, look, I think a paddle would have been a good choice, and certainly at the moment there is not a part of the track here where you can't find yourself a bit of dirt to dig those knobs into. It's not like we've gone down to hard base and you're going to struggle. So I think a lot of them would have chosen a paddle tyre just purely for the traction based on how you're going to get to that first turn. And with how muddy it still is at the moment, a bad start, your vision's going to be terrible on a race like this.
Crawford is starting to close in. Oh, a strong part of the track here for Button. He looks to try and find something there up the inside. And I think I saw some yellow flags. Will our riders come into a crashed rider just here somewhere? Well, this is the closest Bud has been for quite some time through this section. And as we said, this is a strong part of the track for him. Up to the inside, tries to force the point, but gets stuck in the mud. Can Crawford make the pass right here? He does. So exploring those new lines, trying to find something different. I'm sure the frustration is there at the moment for Bud. He has tried and tried and tried so many different times to make that pass, and right now it just hasn't worked. Look to the back of screen here. Bud dives to the inside.
Just slid a little bit too much on the exit of the corner, and it's dropped him down into that very, very deep stuff there. And unfortunately, wasn't enough momentum to hold out Nathan Crawford. Now that's devastating news for Reece Budd because he was on a siege at that point in time. He wanted to get to that head of the pack. He was prepared to do whatever it took.
Can he reply at the moment and get back up there? He is right on the back wheel of Crawford as Barham now enjoys himself a 2.5 second lead as they work their way through some of the lapped riders. And I feel, Lee, today lapped riders are going to play a big part with the way the ruts have developed and that the lines just really aren't offering some viable options around the track, although we do see Crawford right there, who has loved that line for quite a lot of laps, makes his way around and gets past that lapped rider. As we look at the points down the bottom, 3:11 to 2:17. So, of course, that will be enough for Wilson Todd to secure the championship if he can complete these last 9 minutes without any issues, I should say. And I would think at some point in this race, he's got to start thinking, righto, this is we're not going to get to the front. How about we just close this one out and concentrate on the MX1 class?
Now something, Danny, that I just noticed in the back part of the screen when we saw Reece Budd have that drama where he lost that position in the corner, it was also a position where Wilson Todd leapfrogged his way up ahead of Jace Cosford. So he finds himself in 4th place at the moment, does Wilson Todd, and we'll see how long it takes him to get himself up and onto the back of Reece Budd. He's already started to take a bit of a chunk there out of that time.
More lapped riders for our leaders as they come through this very quick and slippery. Look at the back end stepping out again on Reece Budd through that corner there, called over the shoulder by one of our riders just to make sure they're not getting in the way. It's great to see that these riders are fully aware of who is coming through and really is pressed with Barham. The way he is riding in this race, he has had a lot of pressure thrown at him. And he has managed to hold on to it and still look very comfortable doing it, stretching out over that tabletop down into this big G-out section, moves himself across to the very outside line. Now, this is a good part of the track for Crawford. Finds those outside lines. Not this turn, but just in a couple of turns. You may see a little bit of a challenge right there, especially if these lappers get in the road.
And he just looks calm and settled, does Nathan Crawford. I honestly think that once he gets close enough and onto the back of Caleb Barham, he should be able to make a move that's going to cement that first place position. He's come straight off the back of the podium and he's returned to racing after such a long 6-month stint with injury. So wouldn't it be great to see him up there at the head of the pack and get his first win in such a long time?
Championship leader and looking to close this one out. Wilson Todd on screen for the HRC Honda team, doing everything right at the moment. He has had such a sensational year. Oh, a little twitch in the back wheel that time around. Yeah, that was a little bit close for comfort. So I just glanced up the top there and saw that the change of the positions haven't changed up the front as they work their way through the lapped riders. Todd absolutely done everything right this year. Great shot here just to show how many different lines there are, but really not that many great options at the moment.
6 minutes still to go in your Pirelli MX2 Moto #1 and staring down the barrel of the National Championship here for the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships MX2. Wilson Todd doing a sensational job for the Factory Honda HRC team. Team owner Yuriv Konski will be... yes, it is. I believe we have...
There must have been a mistake there by Barham coming out of that turn, because that was way too easy for Crawford. He was actually a little bit back coming through that section, so not sure what happened there. But we have had the change to the lead now. So Nathan Crawford, again, after such a great return to racing last round, is proving his strength once again and has moved himself into the lead. Wilson Todd working his way through some lap riders just behind these guys. Is still trying to make his way forward, but he is some 7 seconds back from these riders, or from the lead riders. And I don't feel that he is going to push it too much harder to try and climb his way up there from this point on.
Well, what a race from factory KTM rider Nathan Crawford. Like we mentioned before, a podium at the last round at Coffs Harbour, and he has come out all guns a-blazing here at QMP. He looks fantastic on the bike. He's actually making it look a little bit drier than everyone else is making it look. Lines coming together. He's keeping those wheels in the rut. Doesn't matter if it's got a hook in it. He's reading the track exceptionally well.
there's a couple of the lines that he has used the entire race. It's almost like he's developed himself. You know, they might not have been the best line on lap 1, but he has certainly created stuff that a lot of riders are not using at the moment, and he is making it work for himself. Some of these smarter things that these riders are able to do as they complete their laps. Reece Budd looking down the very inside there, and you can see the shiny parts of the track, or the very light part of the track, just how hard pack it is right there. I feel we'll see a lot more of that. Into turn 2 there goes our race leader, and just have a look at how long these ruts are all the way through those double apex. Having a look back a little bit further in field, just a few more of these battles at the moment, and that is the 70 machine, I think, that we just had on screen a moment ago. That was Benny Novak. And there is Wilson Todd again on the 20 machine. He's got some clear track ahead of him now, so I'm sure that he is hopefully learning some new stuff, some new lines on this track. One thing I've had noticed a lot too is just what we saw then on screen with Wilson Todd, the amount of times these riders are up to the pull string on their roll-off, tear-offs, trying to clear that vision. Very big task at the moment, trying to get that vision clear as you come past all of these lapped riders, or even in any of the battles that you're on. A lot of the times we've seen Reece Budd tipping that head away from looking straight ahead, just trying to make sure that his head and goggles stay out of that roost, trying to keep that vision clear. So not ideal conditions for roll-offs here with the really sticky mud. I know that a lot of riders would favour the tear-off system if they could, but this is one of those circuits where roll-offs are our only option. As we see our race leader working his way through a few more of these lap riders. There is Barham just in behind this rider, still managing that second place, and again, a fantastic ride by Barham to be able to hold off the pressure that he has had so far in this one. Reece Budd doing what he can, try and close in on second place for this one. Probably not looking like he's going to be able to hold the hopes alive for the championship. However, third place is a good start to the day, and a solid finish that could see him with an overall, if he has a good race in the Moto number 2 lead.
Well, such a valiant effort from Reece Budd. From the moment that he's rocked up here to Queensland QMP Raceway, he's been on a mission, and it started from lap 1 of practice, and he finds himself once again all over the back of Caleb Barham.
I just noticed there, while you just stepped away for a second, Lee, I was speaking about how roll-offs are a big hindrance here. It'd be a much better thing for tear-offs to be on. And just as we went past the mechanics area there, I looked at Reece Budd look over his mechanic and actually point to his goggles. So struggling to see, obviously, as they went through, possibly that string no longer has any more pulls or is jammed up simply because of this really thick mud. But certainly the entire race, I've noticed that he looked to be struggling, and there was just a bit of a confirmation just then as they went past those mechanics.
Here comes our race leader once again, looking so smooth and so fast. The factory KTM rider of Nathan Crawford. Really been enjoying his riding, so clean up and over these jumps. That's such a spectacular jump, that downhill tabletop, before launching up this uphill, and that camera angle just does not do justice how steep that uphill is, Danny.
Yeah, it's a big dip right in the middle there, and it's super impressed. As you said, Crawford is making the track look dry at the moment. The way he's riding, his style, his form, his comfort level at the moment is so much above everyone else. Oh, Budd there, just a little bit wide, clipping the bank and trying to climb up there with his front wheel. So Budd also having a little bit of dramas, trying to keep the wheels into the right spot on track. Again, the provisional points as they stand at the moment down on the bottom right hand of screen will confirm that Wilson Todd should claim the championship in this race. As we see a few more of the riders, the 188 machine there just battling it out. That was Thomas Ravenhorst. And I think that was the 48 machine just diving down the inside of him, Joel Phillips. So good battles everywhere on the track in the minor places as well. This is one of those circuits that is going to offer a lot of racing for everyone out on the circuit at the moment. Big fields as well. Great to see so many riders have turned up to race this race. Massive amount of riders on the line.
Beautiful vision there from the drone as our MX2 riders continue to make their way around this QMP circuit. Nice colour to the dirt. As we see on camera at the moment, the number 20 machine, red background, telling us that he is the current championship points leader Wilson Todd on the factory Honda HRC CRF 250R. What a season it has been. He's won every single round of the championship so far.
He should be comfortable going into the first of his MX1 races, although he does have the shootout to do as well just after this. Little ride that he's got on the track at the moment to try and sort out their final position at the starting gate. And that's another thing too. He's had the opportunity to do a start where none of the MX1 riders will have. So another big advantage for him being out on track at the moment.
His track knowledge coming into the pole shootout could quite possibly get him going 2 for 2, winning both qualifying first up in the MX1 class as well as the pole shootout. Shaping up to be a spectacular day for him at the moment. Of course, he's barely even dropped a moto throughout this MX2 campaign. We are on lap 13 of 14. So when he comes around the next time, there'll be 1 lap to go before he will be crowned champion.
Through Pirelli turn right now is our championship leader, and as we said, looking to get this one closed out. Only 1 more lap after this, and really a perfect opportunity for him. And you can see it right now, just taking his time, looking around, trying to find those lines. A beautiful opportunity for him to really learn this track and take so much knowledge into the first of those races around the outside. Something new here that he may not have done. Yep, may not have done through the rest of this moto. And these are going to be the advantages that he certainly will take into that other MX1 class when he gets to it. Our race leader, of course, already up and over the finish line here. They should have received the last lap board that time around. As we take a glance over, looking for our race leader onto the start straight just here.
Now, Danny, the strategies that we spoke about in the early parts of this MX2 race number 1, we spoke about how does Wilson Todd tackle this? Does he go for the win, or does he just try to wrap up the championship and conserve energy for such a huge priority, which is his task in the MX1 class? Looks to me as if he's used about 2% of his energy in this race.
Yeah, he looks good at the moment, but no one better than this guy out on track. Crawford, what a ride once again. He's had to work for it. Ooh, bouncing into a big hole just there. That was one of the things that a few of the riders told me earlier on, is this track developing holes at the bases of the jumps. Very unusual, what you wouldn't usually expect, big holes. So you've got to be careful as you make your way around. As Crawford, again, into Pirelli turn, around the left-hander here. Nice flow through this corner. He will make his way around a few more turns and close out moto number 1 of the Pirelli MX2 class through the right-hander that he has loved that outside line so much into this left-hander lead. He is going to be hard to beat today.
He is going to be hard to beat. He knows the predicament he's in at the moment. He possibly doesn't have Wilson Todd at his fighting best because he's got bigger and better things on his mind. But I tell you what, he might have something for Wilson Todd at his best. I would love to see these two go head-to-head. What a win, what a race, and welcome back to form for Nathan Crawford. The factory KTM rider takes his first win in a very, very long time, and that has got to feel good.
Reece Budd will come across in second place and Barron behind them, but of course the rider that is everyone is looking out for will be the number 20, and here he is on screen.
Here he comes. He has got 2 corners to go. Queensland is playing witness here. We have got so many fans on hand. The checkered flag about to come out. Ladies and gentlemen, your 22 Pirelli MX2 national champion, Wilson Todd, for the Honda HRC team. What an achievement for this young rider with such a huge future ahead of him. He's won championships here in Australia. He's been to Europe. He has come back and he has done it again in unstoppable form here in Australia.
What a way to close out the season with still a bit of time to go. As we see our championship winner directed towards the podium as well. The mechanics.
Piney there, we see the Yariv Konski team owner. There's some serious emotions in the Honda camp here. Ecstatic, and a well-deserved championship for the Red Crew.
What a way to start the day, Lee Hogan, here at round 7 of our championship at QMP. A great race already in the books as we take a look at the high shot of this track and just the amount of lines that are developing so far. It's going to be set to be an exceptional day of racing to close out this one. There is our championship winner, the number 20 machine, into the podium area.
Have a look at the amount of mud and dirt on him. We'll get that helmet off and we'll get a good read of the emotions in this man. He's got to be over the moon.
I think he just wants some water at the moment.
It doesn't matter how many national championships you get. They all are very, very sweet.
There we go, there's a bit of water, that's what he's chasing. Something to wipe that face down. He has eaten a lot of roost in that race. It just goes to show how much would have been getting up onto those goggles as well.
Here they come, I'm sure. We've got T-shirts, we've got number ones going on. There they are. Let's have a look at that. Fantastic. Yariv, give us a look. Turn it around. 22 national champion Wilson Todd. A hug from team manager and team owner. There we see it. A well-deserved number one plate to go with that red background. Once he got that red background at the start of the year, Danny Ham, he did not let go of it.
Tell you what, he's a very serious face still on him. I think he's got
something on his
mind. I'm sure
mind.
he's going to be stoked with this, but there is certainly some other stuff that he is thinking about as well. I'm sure there's a big day ahead as we see Kate Peck moving in to have a chat with him. Why don't we go down to talk with our championship winner in Kate Peck?
Yes, indeed. Our first 2022 ProMX champion in the MX2 class, HRC's Wilson Todd. We tried to give you to this last round, but congratulations. This is a huge win for you. What does it mean to win this championship?
Yeah, thanks heaps. You know, like we won it this time, not quite last time, but yeah, we got out there. Not a real good start. You know, like I was out the back and came through quite well on the first lap. I was thinking about pushing towards the front, but you know, I was held up a bit there and it took me a while and the boys are gone, so I thought I'd just ride it home. But, you know, it means a lot. You know, I've had a tough couple of years, like I've been overseas, you know, like just grinding. But, yeah, to come home, you know, I've put in the work over the last couple of years and it's paying off now. So, yeah, I just got to give it up to the whole team, you know, Terra Firma, Honda. I got freaking that many friends and family here, everyone that's helped out, you know. My girlfriend, my mum and dad, my friends, my cousins, everyone drops everything to come help me at the track. You know, like when I want to practice through the week, that, you know, and can't thank everyone enough. And also Tonin, personal sponsor, all the sponsors associated with the team, everything's come together.
Well done. Congratulations. You need to go and celebrate now. Although, actually, no, you've got to get out there on the 450 for Pole Shootout Award.
Yeah, so, yeah, back out and see what I can do on the big bike today.
Yeah, it's a busy day for you. Okay, we'll catch up with you again later, but congratulations, Wilson.
Yeah, thank you.
And in P1 for Moto 1 of MX2, congratulations, back from 6 months of not racing, a huge injury. Well done, Nathan Crawford on the KTM.
Yeah, it's honestly so good to be back here. If you had asked me, even when I came back across Harbour, if you had told me I was going to win a race by now, I'd probably tell you you're an idiot. But obviously it goes down to the hard work that we've been putting in. This bike and this team deserve to be at the front, so it's really good to be able to do that for them and be able to deliver results straight away. You know, obviously coming into the championship so late, it's just good to be able to provide, and hopefully we can back it up in the second moto. But I'm honestly just having a really good time being back at the races. I probably feel better than how Wilson does right now.
All right, congratulations, Nathan. We'll see you in the next moto. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, what an amazing race there and championship win, of course, for Wilson Todd. Let's take a look at the Pirelli results. MX2 Moto 1, Nathan Crawford with the win. Reece Bard holding on for second place. Caleb Barham in third.
Wilson Todd, of course, fourth. Costa with a good ride. Malkowitz, now he was way back in that, so I'd like to see him get a good start in Moto number 2, see what he can do. Isaac Ferguson, Jesse Dobson, Jay Constantino and Levi Rogers round out your top 10 in the Pirelli MX2 class Moto number 1. And what a day it is for Wilson Todd as he half celebrates because he has still got a lot of work to do. I'm sure everything is going to come together later on after the racing's done and he will be able to celebrate this one properly.
That's what a little bit of 50-50 looks like. Half celebrating, half focused on the job to come. He really wants to get out there and hop on the big boy. I guarantee you he's been enjoying his time on that 450. Let's take a look at the championship points. MX2, thanks to Pirelli after round 7, and confirming that championship win from Wilson Todd with 311 points. Reece Budd did his absolute best to take it right the way down to the wire, and he's on 217.
Only 75 points left on offer for the 3 races left in this championship, so this is why Wilson Todd is the championship winner already. Jesse Dobson, Malkowicz, Yokoyama are all still very close, so the minors have not been sorted out just yet. We still have 3 more championship scoring points races for these guys to do, so there is still a battle on their hands yet. But we have got so much more action still to come. Please don't go anywhere. Take a quick break. We'll see you soon.
New CRF 250R. Lighter, faster, stronger. Ready to help you find your edge.
Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We have just crowned a champion in the form of Wilson Todd in the Pirelli MX2, but we're going to go straight down to Kate.
Yes, I've got Yuriv Konski here, the team boss of HRC, and Wilson Todd's team boss. Congratulations. Tell me about the emotion that's flowing through your veins right now.
You're actually making me emotional talking to me. Everyone works so hard. Like, it's relentless. This isn't a normal 9-to-5 job. We ask so much of everyone. Go back to back for Honda. That 250 is amazing. Look at what Jet Lawrence is doing in America with it, and what Wilson Todd's done here with it. So it's a real credit to Honda and to our entire team. Yeah, I'm emotional. I'm sorry. I didn't think I was going to get emotional today.
I think we knew you were going to get emotional today. Well done, Yuriv. You need to celebrate at some stage, but there's still a lot of work to do.
We've got a lot of work to do, and we've got a strong, united team, and we're going to be working really hard to support Dean in his quest to win the 2022 450 Championship.
Okay, well, you enjoy today. Good luck. See you later. Boys, back to you.
Well, the emotion in Yuriv Konski's voice there is, it tells the story. It says it all, Danny Hammond. Fantastic job to everyone involved. It's not just a one-person thing. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
With that being said, let's move over to what we've got on screen at the moment right now, and that, of course, is our AMX Superstores shootout. And this is the second opportunity for our MX1 riders to go out and learn the track a little bit of a reward for the top 10 fastest riders out on track. They do get a chance to look at the track once again before they go out and complete their Moto number 1. So the object of this is to try and do their fastest lap and re-qualify for their position on the gate. Now, if you have a bad qualifying session this time around, it could hinder you. If you were the fastest guy originally and you have a bad time this time, it will drop you back a few places and you will get a worse pick on the gate. However, if you had a bit of a terrible or average start to the day, this is your opportunity to climb up a few more positions, get a better position on the gate. And as we saw out of Moto number 1 MX2, the start position is quite important, as we see Tanti on screen doing a little no-footer through that corner, a little bit unorthodox, but seemed to still make it work somehow.
Get a little bit of freestyle action there from Aaron Tanti. Now, let's not forget, he needs to learn the track again from scratch and cannot overemphasize the benefit that Wilson Todd is going to have here, coming straight off the back of literally the last lap that was ran around this track was done by him. So he's going to come into this. Do not be surprised if you see some crazy lightning fast times from Wilson Todd here in comparison to the big guns of the MX1 class.
Now, I just want to bring to your attention as well, Lee, is that we watched qualifying earlier on. We kept a very close eye on the fastest lap times that they did in their practice qualifying, and the fastest was a 1:54.8 by, of course, Wilson Todd on the MX1 bike in their session. Everyone else was 2 minutes plus. Already on the very first lap, Aaron Tanti has just put down a 1:54. That is 6 seconds faster than their qualifying time. So that just really shows the amount that this track has changed since they've been out there. And right now, Waters on screen is on a flyer. He is currently 0.18 quicker than our fastest time at the moment, but nowhere near as much as Wilson Todd, who's on 1 second out of the first sector, a whole second faster than the current fastest time.
It does not surprise me at all, and they're going to start to drop these times down further and further. And what you see if you watch closely around this track at the moment is starting to develop one very, very nice line with one or two other options. There's a lot of corners that have 2, sometimes 3 options that are okay, but in every part of the track, if you get offline, you will find slop, and no one knows that better than what Reese Budd found out in that Moto 1, unfortunately, when he was going for that race lead. We're watching pretty closely at the moment Todd Waters, who's managed to find a little bit of form straight away.
A little bit of a bounce going into that one. We are keeping a look at our times, and 2.5 seconds by Wilson at the moment at the second sector. The only person that is responding currently is Kirk Gibbs, who is looking about a second faster as well, as we will see Waters up and over. There is Kirk Gibbs up and over as well. So he moves to the top of the board with 1:52.37. Wilson Todd will be chasing him through very soon. There is Dean Ferris. Can he jump up? There is Wilson Todd. Keep an eye to have a look at this. Up to the lead once again. Wow. He is absolutely flying at the moment. And as you said, Lee, the knowledge he has of the track is going to play into his favour so much right now.
Now, Danny Ham, I don't think we've seen the last of our best times. So for Wilson Todd to do a 1:51, but already for us to see a 1:52 and a 1:53 from Kirk Gibbs and from Aaron Tanti in what was effectively their first lap out there, I think times are going to drop again. Don't be surprised if that's actually Wilson Todd that drops them even more, but I don't think we've seen our best time yet.
I agree. I think we're going to see some more, but what I do want to point out is we only have 3 minutes left on the clock. They are only, if they're doing a slow lap now, they're going to get one more shot at it. That's it. Here we see Tanti. He is doing another fast lap. So he is going out 3 or 4 quick laps in a row. He'll get into a really good rhythm. And this is a strong way of going into this championship fight, being consistent and consistently fast. So let's keep an eye on that.
Unfortunately for Tanti, he's a little bit down on that first sector time-wise. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I tell you, he got that big downhill tabletop a heck of a lot better than when he got his fastest lap time. But unfortunately, must have made some kind of mistake that we've seen off camera. So we'll follow him through and see what he comes up with. But I don't think this is going to be his best time this time around.
And it looks like everyone else has just slowed it down for this lap. First sectors, +6, +16, +11. So they're out there looking at the track, trying to learn some new lines, and they're going to have one more chance to get around there. 2 minutes left on the clock. They're doing 1:50. So essentially, anyone after 10 seconds has not crossed that line is on their last lap to try and knock down some another quick one. And this is Kirk Gibbs, the other guy that is very, very quick indeed. He is learning the track. One more chance for him to try and make this happen.
Well, he's been super fast for the last 3 rounds, and if you look back 3 rounds ago was Maitland, where we actually saw a nice little get-up going on here, walking through the pit the pit area. Fantastic little grab there. Kirk Gibbs was on fire. If we scan our memories back, he was leading and he actually broke a bone in his thumb by slightly over jumping a bump, landed in the base of a bump, and we watched him start to go back. We just thought he'd lost a bit of form. Wasn't the case. He had a broken bone in his thumb. So who knows what could have been for these last few rounds if it wasn't for that incident.
I did speak to Gibbs yesterday and just asked him how that thumb is going, and it's looking quite good, he said. Very strong. So much better than it was previous to that. And a thumb on a track like this is going to be so vital. The strength of the bike. Bit of an over jump there, and I saw also the turn coming onto the start straight wasn't the cleanest also. So he's 0.5 of a second slower than the fastest time, but still that is respectable right now with those couple of small moments that we've seen in this opening part of this.
Now, Danny Ham, we've only got 40 seconds left on the clock, and just want to quickly make mention, we've seen him do this before, but Dean Ferris finds himself back in 7th fastest at the moment. Now, he has he's had events this year where he's come out and not qualified exceptionally well, and then he's gone out and done really well in the races. Now, he doesn't seem to be in his finest form here at the moment. We'll have to wait and see how that translates into Moto 1, because if this plan that Honda's trying to put together with having Wilson Todd and, of course, Kyle Webster, Kirk Gibbs has gone down, smoke coming from the bike. Has that been a big one or just a little tip over?
Yeah, tuck of the front looks like there's an impact line just there at the inside.
Very ginger coming back to that motorcycle.
Yeah, so Wilson Todd was on a flyer that last lap too, but a second sector mistake puts him 6 seconds slower than his fastest time. So essentially he is done. That will be his quickest time. Will anyone answer the call? At the moment, I don't think so. Tanti, though, is probably the only opportunity. He's on the first sector of the track.
Oh my Lord, did you
I did not.
Dean Ferris nearly stepped through the front door on that finish line tabletop. That's about as close as you're going to get to coming out the front.
So Aaron Tanti into the second sector is our last chance. Currently, he is 0.3 slower than the fastest leader. He'll be up the back of the track somewhere, about to come down that big hill, and he has got a chance of maybe climbing up a few more spots. We saw Webster jumps up into third place there, right on that very final lap. So good time for him. He's picking it up as well. Another notable mention, Hamish Harwood up there in 5th place, Ferris back to 6th. So can Tanti do it on this very final part? He still sits there pretty quick. If he has made a mistake, there he is, just on the right of screen. Can he close it out and get a quick time? Across the sector, 0.7, so he's lost a little bit.
It's very close. He needs to string together this last part of the lap with no faults whatsoever, and he's looking nice.
A little bit of a moment there, just bouncing out of that rut as he comes around. He certainly does look like he is going to get up into second place with no mistakes. As we see on screen, Wilson Todd. Currently, there he is. Tanti is coming around the final turn. Can he close it out? He is trying super hard.
That was a nice corner, that one, and moves up to second fastest. Brilliant. And he is only 0.8 of a second off Wilson Todd.
Now, are you thinking that is a strong way to answer this championship? I think so. Let's head down to Kate, though, who does have our pole sitter, Wilson Todd.
The AMX Superstores pole shootout award goes to Wilson Todd from HRC Wilson. Well done. Talk about momentum. But what do you put this speed down to? Because you're still fairly fresh on this 450 in this class.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it didn't get away from me a few times on the first lap. But yeah, just try to adjust back and have some fun out there. Got to try and save some energy for these next 3 races on this thing.
Exactly. Well, good luck. Enjoy this check, and we'll see you in the moto.
Well, fantastic job there from Wilson Todd, our pole setter, and winning, of course, our AMX pole shootout. Danny Ham, let's take a look here at the results.
Wilson Todd, of course, was the fastest. Aaron Tanti certainly answered the call on his championship battle. Kirk Gibbs will be fast later on. Cole Webster also bouncing up there. Hamish Harwood, a great result too. Let's head off to a break. We've got so much more action still to come. Don't go anywhere.
No. Whatever your passion, ignite it with Autolite.
AMX and Penrite have joined forces to give away the ultimate moto workshop valued at $5,000. You can set yourself up with the best from Penrite, NetPro, RHK, Motion Pro and much more. To enter, simply purchase any Penrite product at AMX Superstores, scan the code and you're in the draw to win. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? Rush in now to AMX for your chance to win. AMX Superstores, your one-stop shop for all motorcycle accessories, proudly supporting the 2022 ProMX Series.
Penrite, a 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only competition can. Penrite, it competes, you win.
Most motocross riders have some form of superstition when it comes to their routine. Whether it be something as simple as putting your left sock in your left knee brace on before the right side, or perhaps even dropping that freshly painted helmet on the ground before your first race. For me personally, it was as simple as when my socks came out of the washing machine, no matter how they come out, I had to wear them that way. And if that meant one was in the wrong way, then so be it. Now, how about you, Danny Ham? Did you have anything in particular, whether it be the racing years or even more recent, anything superstition-wise?
No, but before I even get to that, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Hose, honestly.
True.
Like, no, myself, no, not superstitious. I either rode good or I didn't. There's nothing in between. I either crashed or I didn't, and there was no reason for it. So, no superstition.
All right, well.
But hay bales. Yeah, they kept jumping out in front of me. I don't know what that means.
Hay bale ham, I do remember that. All right, well, it sounds like it's still out to the jury, so let's investigate a little further. Okay, Craig Dack, icon of the 80s and 90s motocross. Talk to us. Superstitions, did we have any?
I had one, and that was, it came about through an injury I had on my foot. I had a broken foot at the time through the Mr. Motocross Series, and I had to keep going. So I found out through certain ways there was this little method at the time, we're talking the 80s, seemed a bit weird back then, just tapping myself on the chest 3 times before the 30-second board went up. It was meant to be an emulation of a gorilla, a big silverback punching their chest to empower you. So I did that, and I won the race, and I carried that through pretty much the whole season in 1986.
Dean Ferris, I'll just grab you quickly. Factory Honda HRC rider, sorry to stop you like that. Just quickly, superstitions, talk to us. Have you got anything that comes to mind?
Well, not much nowadays. Kind of got over them, but back in 2016, so 6-7 years ago, before we had kids, my wife and I, when we'd stay at a motel, we had to do these cartwheels onto the bed the night before the race every time, and they'd usually turn into a pillow fight as well. So I don't do it anymore because most of the time we're in the caravan. I'm sure if I did a cartwheel, I'd go through the wall. But yeah, that's all I used to do.
Superstitions. Talk to me. Do you have anything in particular that comes to mind?
Well, as silly as it sounds, obviously when we have close racing or up for a championship, I tend to not sort of watch the racing. I sort of look away or do my own thing. I can still hear it going on the headset, but I just visually don't really watch the last couple of laps or when it's heated.
So in your mind, you think if you are looking, something potentially could go bad, so let's not look.
Exactly.
Haruki Yokoyama, Empire Kawasaki rider out of Japan on the 250cc machine. Tell us about your superstitions. Is there anything in particular that comes to mind?
My superstition, whenever I always have like new parts or new gear and stuff, always put it down in the ground, make sure it, a little bit dirty or, I feel more comfortable on the bike and, like when I always don't do it and always crash, so end up getting on the ground. So yeah, that's how I always do.
Yuriv Konski, Team Honda HRC, team owner. Have a look at that look on your face. Superstitions. Surely you've got something good for me. Talk to me.
I have a few, Lee. Not sure if I'm ready to share. Look, no matter what track I go to, I always have to find the first cubicle. And if there's a row of Portaloos, I'll even wait outside the first one. I don't know, it's just being in that mindset where we want to win, and I might even have to go and run to another Portaloo and grab some toilet paper if that one's out. I mean, there's a few. That's the one that comes to mind on race weekend.
Well, that was a fun little piece there, that's for sure. I believe Yuriv Konski for the win. That's an awesome one, the cubicles. And I believe I've even gone in and stolen the toilet paper on purpose before Yuriv's gone there, just throw him a curveball.
Yeah. Oh, well, that is certainly something a bit different, I can say that. But let's go back to some real stuff. Let's head down the Cape.
Yes, I've got Dylan Minier here, Caden Minier's mechanic. Caden is leading the championship right now. How's he coping with the pressure?
Yeah, pretty good. Caden's sort of taking each round in his steps, and we know we need to get good points today, and then hopefully next week we can wrap the championship up.
And his choice of start gate today?
Yeah, we didn't qualify 10th, but we got a pretty good gate start, so hopefully it's all good from here.
Okay, great. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, great to get a quick little grab there from Dylan Minier, Caden's father. They made their way over from Western Australia. And wow, this kid can ride. Still another whole year left as a junior, and he finds himself staring down the barrel of a championship if things continue to play their way out over the next 2 rounds, Danny.
Have a look at the line of traffic coming in. So great to see. As we take a look at the Maxxis Tyre MX3 lineup, Ryan Alexanderson looks super fast out there today. Riley Fitzpatrick, Liam Owens, Tyne Kent, Miles Gilmore, Byron Dennis, Connor Towell, Brock Flynn, Cooper Holroyd, and Caden Minier are the top 10.
Jake Cannon there in 11th fastest. Logan Denny's got Cody Kilpatrick, Ryan King, and that, of course, is the son of Shane King over from New Zealand.
Jack Mather back there in 16th. Now, I saw Mather riding around with no front guards in practice, so I don't know what happened. Obviously, possibly a crash or something. It's not just going to fall off, so could explain why he's so far back down in that order as well.
And that's interesting to note, because watching him in the early laps of practice, he was so fast here. Local Queenslander, he's going to be feeling it in his home state, that's for sure. However, he may have had a big crash which has affected him and dropped him right the way down on the qualifying. Now, let's not forget, he's second in the championship behind Caden Minier.
Well, the board is up. We are getting set to get this race. Maxxis MX3 Moto number 1 underway. Who is going to launch out first? Get to that first turn and strike the first blow. One rider very slow off the start, but the jump come from the inside. I think that is Holroyd on the 28 machine.
Cooper Holroyd, and we see Connor Towell back there, who's just snuck up into second place on that KTM machine. Connor Towell going for first place. Minier back there in 4th, our championship points leader, in a great position.
As our riders make their way through, very difficult first couple of turns, and then you are right, it is Connor Towell, beautifully clean up the front on the 22 machine, the 185 back there in 3rd place as well. That is Riley Fitzpatrick. He's off to a good start. Oh, Holroyd, a little bit of a swing on the inside as they go up that jump for the first time. Again, these riders were early on the track in the day, so not too many lines were formed up. However, they do have a big change of track right now that they've got to learn. Minier perfectly positioned right now.
Fantastic spot up there in 4th place, which is where he exited turn number 1. Now, how many times have we seen this so far this year, Danny Ham, in the Maxxis Tyres MX3 class? Connor Towell up there at the pointy end of the field. Then he finds himself with just clear space ahead. Let's see what he can do.
See if he can close this one out. Certainly is looking good at the moment. I did see on screen a moment ago that Alexanderson, who was very fast in qualifying and practice, was way back off the start. He sits currently in 8th, just got passed by Byron Dennis on the 23 machine as they went across our last split. Around the outside, the Yamaha rider of Zach Cannon, I think, possibly looking to put the pressure on and make some passes early on in this one on Minier. But sits there in 5th place. There he is outside the 410 machine. Minier just in front of him. Looking to that outside. Oh, bikes so close to come together right there. That's Flynn just behind them.
Fantastic line on that final corner before the finish line there from Caden Minier. He cut his way back and found a nice little bit of terra firma, keeping out of that very, very deep rut. So he doesn't really need to do too much at the moment, does Caden Minier. If you just have a look in the top left of the screen, our Matrix Concept Whole Shot Award goes to Cooper Holroyd for this one.
And there he is on screen, the 28 machine just coming through. Minia there on the 66 with the red plates, of course, because he is the championship leader. He is there in 4th place, and this is very good positioning for his title contention as they work their way up this very rutted hill. It looks like things are starting to open up a bit more on the track, Lee, with the way that the ruts are forming up. The dirt is drying up. It's allowing these riders to move around just a bit more, as we see Alexanderson sneaking up past Flynn just there to the inside, and he's got his eye set on the 410 right in front of him, so keep your eye on him. We've seen many times this year Alexanderson able to make his way through the field all the way to the front.
Now, how many times this year, Danny, have we seen a case of Caden Minia just doing the best in a circumstance where he was back in 10th place qualifying, finds himself in 4th place in the race, but he will open up a massive championship points gap over even what he has already, which is huge, because his closest rival in the points is all the way down. As we scan our eyes down, we're trying to find where...
He's not even on our list at the moment.
Well, he was around 10th place, but he has dropped. Maybe trying to find Jack Mather, and I cannot see him. He was somewhere around 10th place, but it looks like he may have pulled out. So,
yeah,
13. Oh,
there he is.
sorry, scratch that. 13th place. So the points gap now is huge, and as points stay at the moment, 248 points we see for Caden Minia. Next closest will be Jack Mather on 219.
Wow, as these riders make their way around, have a look at the pace, and we've seen it so many times before, of our race leader, 22, Connor Towell, just blasts a fastest lap time of the race that last time around, a whole 3 seconds faster than any single person on the track, and he extends that lead to 5.8 seconds on the 3rd lap. That is flying.
There's some crazy fast speed from Connor Towell here. Very impressive stuff from the New South Welshman. We do need to just quickly make mention, there's a couple of riders in our list here. Caden Minia, we've also got Byron Dennis, 2 Young Gun junior riders that will be representing Australia in upcoming weeks in the FIM Junior World Championship. So such a great opportunity, and one of them could quite possibly be getting crowned champion in the MX3 class next weekend.
Great shot here just to see the lead that we have from our first to second. Holroyd still holds down second. Fitzpatrick back there at third. Minia, of course. Then Cannon, and there is Alexanderson. Flynn through behind them. Dennis also up there with a good start in front of King, and then Tykeem, who we've seen some great results out of also over the championship this year.
So both Jack Mather and Brock Flynn, the 2 Husqvarna riders over previous rounds, we're so used to seeing them both 1 and 2 into the first turn. They've just been the masters of the whole shot. They were nowhere to be seen in this first drop of the gate here at QMP.
It really shows the importance of trying to find the correct gate to get the start out. Remember, that start straight itself, so boggy. You may launch out good off the start, but you've got to contend with all that mud, as we see back there. Minia, still so much pressure being applied. Cannon around the outside, but he is still managing to hold down that 4th place, pick up some vital points in this championship. Really good. Cannon around the outside again. Can he make the pass this time? It's a long way around.
Yo's trying to find that line that Caden Minia actually found earlier on, and Minia found himself out in that deep rut. So let's just quickly touch on, if there's a rider in this field that seems to enjoy the battles and the head-to-head competition, it's Caden Minia. It's one of the youngest in the field, but he just loves that raw head-to-head action. All right, let's just quickly go down to Kate, who's got a little bit of an update for us on Jack Mather.
Yeah, I spoke to his mechanic. The front fender issue was a mud build-up and it just snapped off. And he got an okay start, but he got boxed at the first turn, so that's the reason why he's so far behind.
Well, it's good to hear that it wasn't a crash. That always can play on the mind of the riders, and especially if there's a niggling little injury. So good to hear that there was no major issues. It's not a common thing to hear that the front guard comes off from a mud supply or a mud build-up. But, you know, that stuff is heavy out there at the moment.
Yeah, very true. And I know there may be some viewers at home watching the stream at the moment that would remember back in the old glory days, back in the 80s and the 90s, they used to put metal braces that looked quite cool, actually, if they were done the right way. They would brace from the bottom part of your front number plate down to...
Whoa!
Oh, that is as close as you can possibly get to having a crash. And remember the side saddle that we saw at Maitland from Caden Minier. He loves to he'll ride this thing to the death, won't he? All the way to the ground.
We'll get back to that guard thing. So much action going on at the moment. Okay, Fitzpatrick just moves into second. I was just about to say that Cannon finally got past Minier just before that moment, and it was going to be an important part of the race for Minier to just make sure that no issues happen. You did get past, jump back onto the back of him and just regroup and follow through. Don't lose any more positions and maintain those good points. Then that happens. We look at this replay. Have a look at the front wheel just here. Ducks in. Wow. I did something similar to that the other day and I smashed my face into the ground. I don't know how, he's a small kid, how he manages to muscle that bike and keep himself from ending up on the ground. Brilliant save.
Well, you answered it yourself. He's a small kid. They somehow manage to come up with some brilliance, don't they? But that's his will to stay on the motorcycle. Points as they stand at the moment with that slight little shuffle around. We still see Caden Minier with 246 points. And of course, as we go back down to Jack Mather, who hasn't really climbed too much up the tally. He's only made his way up to 13th place, and he finds himself on 219. So that points gap between first and second in the championship, even though Caden Minier has dropped himself back one position, this is still a very favourable race for him when it comes to points.
We've seen Minier do this in other rounds too. Have a moment mid-race, but he's managed to regroup every time at the end of the race and just starts ticking off those vital positions and picking up those valuable points at the very important part of the race towards the end. So it's not a big deal for him at the moment. He looks like he's regrouped pretty good right now, and he has got Alexanderson right behind him. If Alexanderson comes past, maybe he can pick up on some lines, something a little bit different that may benefit him as well. But Flynn is not far behind them too, so there's plenty coming.
Whoa, at the bottom of that hill, we just had a G-out moment for Caden Minier that nearly sent both legs flying over the top of the bike. So I'm not quite sure if it was a G-out that spat his feet off the pegs or if it was purely a bump at the very bottom of that hill. But that was a very close moment. I don't care how mentally strong you are, Danny. You have a moment like that, you need to take a deep breath, reassess what's going on. And when you're surrounded by bikes in front of you and behind you, it's very, very hard to reevaluate and take too much time up your sleeve, or you would just get thrown out the back.
A big moment for him to regroup from, but I'm sure with the way he's ridden through the year that there is a good chance he should be able to sort himself out and continue on with that. There he is in the middle of the screen, right there, our championship leader, Caden Minier on the 66. He is going to have plenty of pressure applied to him soon from the number 60 machine just behind them. And then Byron Dennis back behind them also is starting to close in. As we look to the side at our leaderboard, we can see Towell is still a huge amount in front at 8.7 seconds. That was 9.5 seconds just a moment ago. So the pace has dropped out just a little bit from Towell, but that is still such a comfortable lead right now to be able to consolidate and continue to maintain all the way to the checkered flag. This is the great battle though. Fitzpatrick with a really good ride today, sits there in second, but the battle here, third, is really starting to heat up.
Well, no surprise with the speed from Ryan Alexanderson here, but what I'm impressed with is Jake Cannon. Did not expect him to be quite up there, and then as he has a sneaky little look over his right shoulder, Alexanderson comes flying past. Now, in recent rounds, he really has been the form rider, and you and I have watched in awe as he tips it into ruts and almost drags his handlebars.
Yeah, it's great to see that he is getting himself up there as well. Just a small moment in that corner as you glanced away. Lee was the reason why we saw Alexanderson able to make a pass through to that position. And this is the part of the race that we've seen so much strength out of Alexanderson in prior rounds. Will we see it again here today at round number 7? But let's head back down to Kate for a quick update.
Yeah, just an update from Caden Minier's mechanic that he got a good start, but he's just lost his flow. He's really tightened up after those couple of moments, and you can see it visibly in his riding.
Yeah, as you said, Lee, to bounce back from a moment, or a couple of moments in a couple of laps exactly like that, it is so hard to regroup and get yourself back into that form.
Oh, a little bit of sideways action there for Cooper Holroyd as he nearly, well, I'm not going to say throws the big girl down, but certainly enough to put him under pressure from the rider behind him who is trying to make a pass there, and that is Ryan Alexanderson, who you don't need to give 2 written invitations to.
Well, I just glanced at the back there and saw that Minnie is still hanging in strong. You know, he looks like he may have rebounded a little bit. I saw Alexanderson there looking over to the right, just getting himself a bit of a update on the pit boards to know exactly where he's at. Up to 4th place, as we said, way back there in about 8th or something off the start. So ticking him off, still 7.5 minutes to go. Do you think he's going to be able to close down a whole 9.7 seconds though in this race lead? That's a big lead.
It's a very big ask, and I think it's just it's a lead maintenance thing now for Connor Tao. However, 7 minutes still on the clock. Anything can happen. This track's really starting to evolve now, and I was just about to make mention of something that you brought up before, tyre selection. We find ourselves at a part of the day at the moment where you've got 3 majorly different types of dirt out there at the moment. You've got muddy slop, you've got beautiful tacky, what we like to call chocolate cake, and then you're starting to get parts out there that have got a very hard concrete base to them. Makes it almost impossible to select a tyre.
Well, here's a pass now by Alexanderson to try and move up into 3rd place. It looks like he has got the job done. So he is on the charge forwards. Here's one more rider to jump into 2nd place. That is, of course, Fitzpatrick. Going back to what you just said there, Lee, I feel if it was myself out there at the moment, I would be looking for a tyre that is going to favour the rest of the track, especially if you're someone like Alexanderson who is so strong. You can take a quick look at the replay. Around the outside, the 2 riders actually very polite to each other, gave each other a lot of room, but they could have come together there, so both of them not jumping that tabletop. It's good to see good sportsmanship. But as I'm saying, for someone like Alexanderson, who's so strong towards the end of the race, I'd be favouring that tyre that's going to give them the most option around the rest of the track. Maybe a slight disadvantage off the start, but the rest of the moto is where he is so strong.
And with our live points chase for the overall championship, every single position that Ryan Alexanderson makes up at the moment is so important for him. Just from doing that, he goes to now 212 points in the championship points chase. And we've got to remember, 2nd in the points chase is Jack Mather in 220. 220 points he has. So, needs to keep trying to climb his way up. Ryan Alexanderson, if he's got any hope of finishing up in that top 2 in the championship, or any hope of certainly trying to challenge Caden Minia for the overall, needs to win every race here on out.
We just saw a moment ago the 18 machine of Miles Gilmore. Unfortunately, a small moment there just before the finish line. Back up and running, of course, but yeah, is this Alsop?
Yes, it looks...
Maybe. We can't really see that number, so we're only just speculating. I think it might be, and if it is, there's been a...
Oh, no, Fox
23, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not. I thought it was Dennis, but it's not.
No. KTM number 23. We will try to pick up that information for you.
Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, but it's interesting you mentioned Jet Alsop there. It looked like a tall kid.
Yeah.
It looked like he had that factory KTM get-up going on. Jet Alsop had some form of drama in qualifying, was pushing the bike back. So glad it's not him. Such a good kid is Jet Alsop, and a huge star of the future.
Tao still holds the lead in this one, 9.8 seconds, and that gap has not closed in at all. So he is doing very well to maintain it, but the minor places are not decided. We saw Holroyd with a few moments sliding out, the back end stepping out there, and Cannon in behind them. There is Tao, of course, our race lead. Oh no! And down he goes!
Oh!
Just as we say that!
Oh, where did that come from? That was not a soft takeoff ramp. That was just an eject over the handlebars.
That has hurt the shoulder a little bit, maybe a bit of a winding, but he is...
Let's hope it's just the winding and that he's just trying to get that oxygen in.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick look. Yep.
Let's watch closely. We've got the Honda replay here about to happen. Watch at the base of the takeoff ramp. There's a rut. It doesn't look soft. Let's watch here.
Oh, it's just sitting down, and I think it's just
bounced. It's G'd out. To me, it looked like the left foot, the very tip of the toe, touched the takeoff ramp as well, which wouldn't have helped matters at all.
Such an unfortunate scene, but we've unfortunately seen this a couple of times this year. You know, this kid has got so much potential. He is so fast.
And he looked like he was doing it easy.
Exactly. So, unfortunate for him. So, Fitzpatrick has now inherited the lead. Have we seen Fitzpatrick leading a moto this year? I don't believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what a way to be out there controlling this one at the moment, but he has got a lot of work ahead of him. He has still got a couple of minutes on the clock to go in front of Alexanderson, who's been so strong, and he's really got a battle ahead of him if he wants to get the check flag first in this one.
Now, I'm just trying to pick up what has happened to Jack Mather, because everyone else has shuffled their way up one position right the way through till we look down to Jack Mather has gone back one position to 14th. So in that shuffle around with Connor Towell, he's lost 2 positions and find himself back in 14th where he was almost at the start of the race. So for someone that really needs to be challenging for every single point, if he has any hope of challenging Caden Minier down the stretch, he needs to get in there and get amongst it. We are not seeing the kind of form from Mather that we have seen throughout the whole season.
Well, have a look at the back of these two. Look at that. Cannon. He is cleared through Holroyd. He's got himself up into 3rd, and he's moving forwards. He is catching these 2 guys as well. So keep an eye on him. We may have 3 bikes challenging for this one before it's all out. As they move towards the finish line here. 1 minute 47, so essentially they have 2 more laps to go in this race. How is this one going to play out? Plenty of lap riders still ahead, and it's going to be a good one, I think.
Very impressed with, as you mentioned, Riley Fitzpatrick. Haven't seen or spoken too much about him throughout the season because he hasn't been right up near that pointy end of the pack. Someone we have been speaking a lot about, Ryan Alexanderson. We know how he finishes races. We know how much he loves ruts. I think Fitzpatrick is going to have his hands full in these final few laps, Danny.
Certainly well into some lap riders down through Michelin turn right here is our race leaders. Down around the outside, this is where he swung around very fast a couple of laps ago and almost made a pass. He hasn't quite got the drive. That is Alexanderson, of course. Cannon trying to learn those lines as well as they move deep into these laps riders. The blue flag waving frantically on the side there to try and clear our race leaders a clear path through here. And down to the back part now. Alexanderson has made some passes here around the outside as they go around towards these jumps. Can he do it again? Certainly close enough right now.
Such a beautiful part of the track here as they come through easy lift corner. And I love this tabletop here where they're turning. You would not want to go off the left side of the track there. It would be danger.
Up the big horsepower hill that hits here at QMP. And a small advantage was gained that lap around for Fitzpatrick. So 0.9 of a second right now through the lap riders. If he can clear some lap riders that good, he has got a good chance of holding off and Alexanderson.
Only 3 seconds left on the clock, Danny, so as they come around this time, they will receive the last lap board.
Can he do it for one more lap? Either way, if he doesn't, this is still a fantastic ride by Fitzpatrick. As we see all of these riders really struggling to get up and over that double jump just there. Byron Dennis up in the 4th place if you look on the side there as well, and just in the background 1.1 seconds was back to Alexanderson Holroyd.
We've lost Cannon. We lost Cannon and Byron Dennis has jumped up.
Yeah.
So we've had all kinds of action going on there. It'll be interesting to find out what happened. Disastrous, because what a race Cannon was putting on there.
Yeah, exactly right. He was having a brilliant race. So again, as we mentioned earlier in this one, no matter what happens with Minier through the day, he still manages to score some great points. And right now, he's looking like he's on track to do the same thing again. A 5th place, a great result for something we saw such big moments through this race, and again, a track that probably isn't the most comfortable.
Ty Keane, the Red Rider, has gone down, unfortunately, and it takes 2 bikes on the way through.
Oh, that is a unfortunate little
that is a kick to the
series
guts.
of events right there. Okay, look at this around the outside. Alexanderson so strong here. Previous laps, can he do it again on this very final lap?
A little bit short there as they approach this huge tabletop, and a big leap. That will put Ryan Alexanderson in perfect position here, and he will swoop into the right-hander. Beautiful pass made with only a handful of corners to go into the left-hander. Pirelli corner, but drifts wide, does Alexanderson.
Big mistake going into it, that back wheel stepping over the top. Fitzpatrick doing everything he can at the moment to try and keep that pressure applied. Can anything happen before we get to the finish? Only a couple more turns to go. but it looks like Ryan Alexanderson again has come from the back of the pack. He's in the lead and looks to be getting another moto win with all the effort in the world. I honestly didn't think we'd see him up there with a win, but man, he has done well.
Wow, Ryan Alexanderson, man, does he sure know how to close out a race. Checkered flag, race win, moto number 1 for the Maxxis Tyres MX3. A fantastic win for him. Ryan Fitzpatrick there in second place. Cooper Holroyd comes through in third. Byron Dennis with a very impressive fourth place. And how about the points for Caden Minier in fifth? That is how you consolidate a championship, Danny Ham.
Great result for Minier. Really smart, head on his shoulders moments, watching the way he did rebound from those big mistakes through that mid part of the race. As we see some more of the riders coming around just to close out this one. Oh, that wide line, and you can see just those options aren't there to go race around the outside. And very unfortunate, of course. There is Matha. So he is coming through now behind Tykeem. So that is for 12th place.
12th place, and does come through confirmed. So 220 points for Jack Mather in the championship points chase. And of course, Caden Minier finds himself a good solid 26-point lead in the championship now. A nice extension of that points lead.
Yeah, he did everything right. Wow, what a day. What a race.
And this is the man of the moment. Knows how to win a race in this tail end of the championship, does Ryan Alexanderson. Let's take a look at the Maxxis Tyres results. MX3 Moto 1. Ryan Alexanderson with the win from Riley Fitzpatrick, Cooper Holroyd, Byron Dennis and Caden Minier in the top 5.
Liam Owens back there in 6th. Brock Flynn, who we saw up there momentarily, is there in 7th. Ryan King, Denise and Campbell round out our top 10. But the real big point of this one, I feel, is that Jack Mather back there in 12th place.
Yes, so devastating news for the Queenslander and the Husqvarna rider. Kobe Hantis there in 13th. Cody Kilpatrick back there in 14th, and Hunter Collins rounding out the top 15.
And it's one of those tracks, isn't it, Lee, that it can really bring a good rider unstuck. It's a difficult one. As we head down to Cape with our winners.
In P3, Cooper Holroyd, congratulations on that whole shot. What a ride from you.
Yeah, it was a tough battle with the people behind me, but a couple crashes made it a bit easier, but hopefully we can do it for the next race as well. Got the whole shot, proud of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully get a bit of prize money from that one. Pretty happy, yeah. But yeah, good job to the boys, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
And in P2, Riley Fitzpatrick. What a ride for you. That was a lot of pressure from Ryan Alexanderson, but you rode the wheels off that thing.
Yeah, it was a good ride. I got off to a good start, and I didn't realise I was in the lead until 2 laps after Connor went down. I seen him down there. I heard Ryan behind me, but yeah, I just tried to stay calm. Fortunately, he got me on the last lap, but yeah, I'm happy with that ride.
Well done. Good luck for the next moto.
Thank you.
And Ryan Alexanderson, wow, I tell you what, you were like a dog with a bone. You just battle on through, incredible ride for you, another win, important points.
Yeah, very important points, closing out the championship next 2 rounds, but great race. I had a decent jump that time, but messed the first corner up. Fitzy held off a great battle, stick battle into the last lap. Yeah, just can't thank everyone who helps to get out here. Nathan Crawford from 00 Elite Ride Training, Dean Phelps from Fighting Fit. Hey, for coming out today and just everyone who helps support.
Yeah, well done, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, what a win from Ryan Alexanderson. Let's take a quick look at the Honda highlights here in the drop of the gate as they launch their way into turn number 1. And Cooper Holroyd got himself a great jump there, Danny Ham.
And it was from the middle of the track that the whole shot came from. And it was a big mess going through those first couple of turns. Riders really struggling to find their way through.
And a very quick pass there from Connor Towell out of turn number 2 there, moving his way up into second place. Kate Minier, we saw on screen there, Jake Cannon. Some fantastic rides from these young juniors.
And it looked like Cannon was back a little bit of those opening laps, so he made some passes nice and early.
Oh, that was
huge moment. I don't know how he saved it, but he did well. And then this is the one you talked about. Yeah, that is a big bump right in the middle. Unexpected, but this next moment, I think, is the big story that we'll talk about in just a moment. There was
nice
Holroyd.
Little Tokyo drift there from Cooper Holroyd.
Yeah, just sliding, and this was a favoured line around the outside for Alexanderson, keeping that momentum going and continuing to make
traction.
passes.
Did you see how he got his back of his his body weight back just for extra traction. Now watch the ejecto seat here over the handlebars. Front wheel digs in, and see you later. Good night. Unfortunately for Conatau,
is leading so much of that race, and by a long way.
Oh, front wheel tuck. And watch this comedy of errors here. Unfortunately, Tykeem goes to get back on. Boom. And again, down she goes.
It's one of those days where you just shake your head, go back and try and regroup. But this was the pass for the lead. A quick look over to make sure that the lead had been gained. Almost came unstuck with that moment going into that way. Yeah, but that was the pass that eventually took Ryan Alexanderson all the way to the checkered flag and a win in Moto number 1 of our Maxxis MX3 class, and a great way to open up the account for the day.
All right, let's take a look at the championship points for the Maxxis Tyres MX3 after round 7 so far, with one moto in the books. 246 points for Caden Minia. Stretches that lead out again over Jack Mather in second with 220.
And Alexanderson climbs up just a little bit more. So, really exciting as this championship unfolds.
Fantastic, Danny Ham. All right, time for a quick break here. What a win there in race 1 for Ryan Alexanderson. Don't go anywhere when we come back. Moto number 2 for the Blue Crew 65s.
New CRF 250R. Lighter, faster, stronger. Ready to help you find your edge.
Through twisties, nailing the perfect landing, leaning into every corner, losing yourself on the open road. There's no feeling like it. The howl of the wind in your ears, feeling every vibration, every inch of the tarmac. Just ride.
A huge part in the motocross scene is, of course, the rider's safety. Now, I've headed over to the AMX Superstore tent here at round 7 to just have a quick look at what they've got. As far as safety, of course, we've seen the helmets on the riders, they wear the goggles, the boots, all the safety gear, but there's one particular thing that you don't see every single day. Now, we've already seen a couple of the pro riders go out with this particular injury. Like Fox, Ryder Kingsford, are going to be sitting on the couch for the next 6 months after they get their full knee reconstruction. Now, one way we can try to protect it, it doesn't always work, but it's certainly a massive, massive help, is this right here. It's a knee brace. This here is a vital part of all riders' safety. So why don't I grab one of these? We'll head over to Todd Waters' tent. He's actually a pro rider that wears this particular brace, and we'll go over there, check it out, we'll set it up, and I'll explain exactly how these things work. So on the surface, the braces themselves look like they're pretty basic, but there's a lot of thought and technology being put into them. These ones here particularly are carbon fibre, so extremely strong, extremely light, simply held together by Velcro on the back. So we just run them around the back of the legs, and that's what holds it onto your leg itself. Now, these particular ones will stop a lot of your lateral movement
and also your hyperextension. There's lockout to stop you from going too far. Another part of these braces is the patella cap itself. So this here, the patella cap covers the entire range right through, so there's no particular area that can get exposed there to the impacts on the knee itself. A real big part of being out on the track is the amount of up and down movements that you do on the bike. If your knee is not up to it, you won't be able to do it. At this particular track, we're looking to around about 270-ish squats per race. So if your knee is not up to it, you're simply not going to be able to do this through the race. It's going to cause fatigue. It's going to cause issues later on as well. One thing as a rider that we do is squeeze really tight on the bike. You can see right here, pushing in hard. This here gives us some stability and strength in the bike to stop it from moving around. Without these knee braces, all that pressure is sitting on the inside of your knee. So these here also help to give you a much more secure feel on the bike. Until you don't have your braces, I know anyone that has knee braces and leaves them at home, you feel naked when you get on the bike without them. So it allows you to have a lot more confidence on the bike, but it is all about strength. As we said, you injure your knee, you sit out on the sideline, it could be up to 6 months after a knee reconstruction. Believe me, I've done my knee twice. It's not a pleasant feeling. The pain is excruciating. All of these safety equipments are vital for the riders to be out there doing their job properly and safely so that they can walk home at the end of the day.
Penrite, 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only competition can. Penrite, it competes, you win.
AMX and Penrite have joined forces to give away the ultimate moto workshop valued at $5,000. You can set yourself up with the best from Penrite, NetPro, RHK, Motion Pro and much more. To enter, simply purchase any Penrite product at AMX Superstores, scan the code and you're in the draw to win. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? Rush in now to AMX for your chance to win. AMX Superstores, your one-stop shop for all motorcycle accessories, proudly supporting the 2022 ProMX Series.
Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We are here at QMP in Queensland for the penultimate round. I'm Lee Hogan, joined by Danny Ham, and we have got the 65s out there, the Blue Crew 65 Cup.
Great race last time around for all of these kids out on track, and I can tell you right now, it is so much better conditions for them to get around here. They were faced with the mud. They were second on track early on in the day. Right now you can see it's loaming up quite nicely. There's some very big ruts that they have to negotiate all the way around the track. But right now the conditions probably couldn't be much better for them what they're seeing right now. As we take a look at that Blue Crew YZ65 Cup lineup, and it is Heath Davey who won the first one. Jager Townley, Deegan Ford, Lewis Cannon and Sydney Stevenson are the first five.
Victorian rider Mason Ezagalis has made his way up here to try to contest against some of these faster guys, just recently crowned state champion.
Jimmy Hatfield, of course, and a whole bunch of other riders getting the opportunity to get out there and race on their huge track here at QMP. And talking about huge, let's look at the crowd too. I mean, it is great to see so many fans have made the trip out here. The weather has really shone beautifully to get as many people out here and enjoy the motocross scene. And it's great to see them all out here enjoying what is being presented right here in front of them. And as we look at that start straight, again, there's such a great part right in the middle there. You can see the nice, dark, loamy sort of soil right in the middle and a bit of mud on either side. The mud for these kids, it's quite treacherous.
Well, I must say, Danny, I'm hugely impressed here. I know you haven't been here before prior to this weekend. I've ridden here many times for bike launches over the years and ridden here. It's basically essentially a ride park. And I've always had a lot of fun riding here. They've got 3 or 4 different tracks. It's a fantastic complex. But I was trying to picture it as a national level ProMX track. And I was just trying to figure out how it would look. To get here and to see all the banners up, to see the track ripped and watered and the ruts that have developed. This place looks spectacular. It's good for the spectators to be able to view, but for us, we're in prime position to watch some of the viewing and the racing that we've seen so far. It doesn't get any better.
I'm in 100% agreement. As you said, I've never been here, but the lead up to it, the talk of it, there was so much uncertainty of how it was going to present it and what we were going to be faced with. You see one of the Yamaha guys getting across the entire start line, getting all the riders ready, little fist pumps.
Giving everyone a knuckle, little fist pump there. Fantastic camaraderie.
It's great to see such a great initiative from Yamaha to get out there. And, you know, this is something that these riders are not going to forget in any time soon. It's such a big, big weekend for them to get out there and race on this circuit. And we saw the opening race with these young riders struggling as they went into maybe turn 4, coming up that hill. Quite muddy. Let's hope that we get to see them all get through nice, clean and safely this time. As we see the spectators able to walk the entire way around the track and get completely different views of what this track is developing up and delivering.
Well, for this particular race 2 of the Blue Crew YZ65 Cup, I don't think it's going to be mud that could be causing them a drama getting up these hills. It's the depth of the rut. If you're not confident enough to get those wheels lined up in those straight line ruts, it's super easy to topple over. We're in the starter's hands now. 15-second board is up. When we see that board go sideways, watch that gate because it's about to drop any moment. And these 65 riders will rocket their way into turn 1, getting up to around 5th gear as they enter with this very high-speed right-hander.
102, Deegan straight out. Deegan 4th. What a start by him. Blast into that turn number 1. Got 3rd in the first race on the way out. Let's keep an eye out for Heath David. There he is, the 125 around the outside. The 101 who got 2nd in the first race. That was Townley just coming through as the rest of the riders make their way through these very deep ruts at the moment and all enjoying this track.
So all the key players get themselves a good start, but it's Heath Davey who, let's not forget, his fastest lap time was 8 seconds faster than the next closest time in Moto number 1. So let's see how long it takes him before he can slot himself up into that clear space of the leader's position here.
Well, he's wasting no time. Wow. That was a spot there I didn't think actually existed to make that pass. The door was closing and somehow he managed to hold it on and make his way into the lead. So straight away, Heath Davey, the 125 machine, puts himself up at the front of the field, right in front of the 102 of Deegan Ford. So we take a look up at the Blue Crew 65 Cup whole shot award, of course, going to that 102 machine of Deegan Ford.
And on this part of the track, you can really noticeably see the difference between Heath Davey and the rest of the field with the confidence of straight line ruts. Now, for our viewers that are watching, and some of you out there who may not be familiar with hopping on a motocross bike on a rutty track like this, it's a heck of a lot easier to do ruts when they're in a corner than it is on a straight line rut. You may think to yourself, hey, surely straight line ruts are easy. No, you come down a hill, you look at a straight line rut and you think, what happens if I don't stay straight? Sure enough, you get off balance and carnage happens. So corner ruts tend to be a heck of a lot easier, and these poor little kids on the 65s may not have come across too many straight line ruts before.
Yeah, they bring you unstuck real quick. I can attest to that. It happened to me just a week ago. So, yeah, to get out there and learn this skill as well is exactly what this class does. It's a big development for these riders to learn many skills that they might not see on a regular junior track. To come out and absolutely rip around here really is beneficial to all of them, as we see the 477 machine, who we haven't really mentioned yet. That is Sydney Stevenson up there in front of Townley, I think it was. So they go back onto the start straight. You can just see there how wide open it is for all of them coming down into that first turn. And so quick for these little bikes, absolutely screaming as they work their way around. You see the 101 there on screen. Jago Townley. There is the 477 of Sydney Stevenson. So we didn't get to mention them the last time around. So great to see them up there having a good little battle. And another cannon out there as well, the 440 machine back there in 5th place. Very serious for all of these kids out there. Of course, this is a hell of a lot of fun for them. They launch up that hill, but at the same time, they do take their racing very seriously. And they battle for all the positions on the track that they can. 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes still left in this moto. Quite an extensive ride for them on a track that will really test their skill level and their fitness levels, if you can call a fitness level with kids that can ride around all day long. We saw the 101 there just going off the side of track. Townley, a little mistake coming through that turn and was just finding an alternative route around the outside. Back on and still there in 3rd place.
Yeah, it's a great ride for Townley, back in 3rd place as you mentioned. Finished 2nd in Moto 1, so not too bad. He just needed to get a slightly better start if you had any hope of being up there with Heath Davey, who not only has his start style, but his lap times are super fast. He currently has, his last lap is a 2:15.1. Next closest is Deegan Fort with a 2:17, and Jago Townley with a 2:23.8. So these guys need to pick that pace up ever so slightly, but Deegan Fort's the one that's impressing me the most at the moment. Look, we know what to expect from Heath Davey. He hasn't dropped a moto so far in this series.
Yeah, he is so fast on that bike. He really knows how to rip around. You just see the confidence there and the jump, stretching it out as far as he can to get up and over that finish line jump. But it's going to be down to Fort and Townley for the overall in 2nd place. I think they're going to be tight on points, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, as we go towards the end of this one. So it could come back to a count back on the day for the overall of the day.
Yes, correct. And if positions stay the way they are at the moment, it'll be Deegan Ford will come out smelling like roses and come out trumping Townley in that 2nd overall position. However, we still have just under 5 minutes to go, plus a lap here for Moto 2 of the Blue Crew YZ65 Cup. A nice handy little lead now for Heath Davies. Stretched it out to 7 seconds now over Deegan Fort, but it's getting closer between 2nd and 3rd.
It's Kiani Knight on the 66 machine just coming through screen there. Heath Davies about to put a lap down on her as they work their way up and over this big jump.
Now, when you get a chance, Danny, have a look at the size, the height of the seat on Heath Davies' YZ65, and I dare say quite possibly is the perfect height for an 85, but he's really enjoying this little machine, and hey, why not get every last week out of this thing that we possibly can?
Yeah, it's when you can ride a bike like that, it is just pure enjoyment. It's you're riding the bike isn't riding you, so it's all about that for the moment. Oh, but here is the battle that we spoke of. So Townley has closed in massively. So I'm not sure if there's been a moment or if it's just the raw speed by Townley. But over this last lap, he has closed in a hell of a lot, and this will be for the overall in 2nd place. If he can make it past, he will move there.
Little cross-rutted there from Jago Townley, that's for sure, as he came down the base, that bottom G out where we saw both legs come off from Caden Minier in the MX3 earlier on. So that little charge that we saw from Townley just subsided ever so slightly. I don't think it's going to be too long until we see him start to edge back onto the back of Deegan Fort.
With a grip at the moment for these little bikes as well.
Perfect.
Get just off that hard line, unable to wheel spin. There's just so much on offer for them. But of course, you get on that hard line and these things light up so quickly. They sound so good.
Beautiful little line there, and of course the two riders having to take a little bit of evasive action as a slower rider there being put a lap down. And number 22, YZ65 of Addison Leach there. We still got caught in a mud bog in that Moto 1. Great to see him cruising around and keeping it on 2 wheels this time around. How about the long hair, the blonde hair flapping out the back of Deegan Fort there in 2nd place. Continues to keep the New Zealander, Jago Townley, back there in 3rd.
Well, he closed in so quickly on him, but it looks like Ford has answered the call at the moment and he has managed to hold on to that position if we have a look a little bit further back and just see how many riders there are on track, the surface of this start straight in the beautiful countryside that we're in right here in this valley for QMP. A great facility for anyone to be able to come out and ride at. It's just such a good venue at the moment.
It's the landscape here, and even driving in the car here. Going home last night and coming back, we've seen some crazy sights. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's a great place to have a motocross track.
If you look at a few more of the riders, 4-2-3, that is Mason Zingales, just coming through. Nice little stand-up style through that corner, feet up on the pegs in the corner. Hope see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yep, good.
And good to see that he kept it on two wheels while he was doing that, Danny.
Yep. Yeah, no, I only teach them to stay upright, not to crash like me. Don't do as the teacher does, just do as the teacher says. So, through these deep ruts, these riders go. Great little battles on the entire field. And number 11 there also was on screen for just a moment. As we see them up here, 286 on screen as well. That is Xavier Scott just coming through. The 51 machine also getting mentioned here. That's Jimmy Hatfield. And then the 203, just to apply the brakes a little bit further.
Now, I'm just trying to catch up on what's going on here, because my timing screen is telling me Heath Davey back in third place. Has our race leader have some kind of a mishap? Because he had himself a monumental lead. So it'll be interesting to see what has happened there. It might have been a reasonably decent get-off to lose. What did he have? 6-7 second lead perhaps there.
So he'd be up in the back somewhere near those, the jump down into the G out after that triple step down somewhere, I think. There we are on screen, 102. You ask, they deliver.
That is our race leader currently.
The magicians that sit in our OB van have managed to find our race leader, and I tell you what. Yeah, he's done such a fantastic job finding our race leader. But there is Davey right behind him. So, yes, obviously a mistake. Something's happened, but Davey is on the charge. Already up into second place.
Yeah, nice little leap past our third place rider, Jager Townley. And he's slotted himself into second. And he will be in not too far distant future if he doesn't tangle with a lapped rider.
Davey got completely caught up there. I'm impressed with Ford. Yeah. He's had plenty of pressure applied to him. He has not let it phase him so far. Please don't do anything now that I've said that. But he is riding superbly at the moment and managing to hold on to that lead.
Man, and that hair flapping out the back is just like Mario Kart throwing banana peels out. It's putting riders off. They're loving it. I love the look. And let's see how long he can hold that lead for. Deegan Ford doing a fantastic job on the Yamaha YZ65 here. Moto 2 of the Blue Crew YZ65 Cup.
Up in small laps riders, how will this play out over these last couple of laps? Listen to those things, just wide open up that jump.
Not the best line there on the far inside for Deegan Ford as he copped a little bit of a boot to the rear end. And, very evasive manoeuvre there, missing our slower rider coming through.
Tell you what, Davey's feeling the pressure at the moment. He needs to make this pass early, and you can see that in his riding. And it looks like it's about to happen, though.
This is the part of the track where these straight line ruts come into play, and no one is as comfortable through this part of the track as Heath Davey. Let's see how it plays out down the bottom here. Very nice protective line there from Deegan Ford. Lap 5 of 6. So when Deegan Ford comes around this time, he will receive the last lap board to go. Does not need to make this pass to win overall on the day. Deegan Ford, of course, earning himself a third place in Moto 1 combined with a first will give him a very solid second placing. However, I don't think Heath Davey wants to go down with a 1-2. He wants to go 1-1 for the day.
Nice line through there. All the two lines almost coming together. Ford has the inside here. Davey the long way around. Switches back to the inside here. Very smart line as they get up to another lapped rider. Ford. Very hard landing there. Just stops the bike momentarily, and that is going to allow Davey up the inside. But Ford doesn't want to let it go. Davey the mistake.
What a great little passage of play there that we saw that has eventuated in Heath Davey coming out the head of the pack. And he heads off towards this final lap here. He's received the last lap board. Quick little clear of the vision. 2 pulls of that roll-off string. And Deegan Ford back there in second. Has he done enough to stretch himself over Townley back there in third to hold on to what will be second overall?
Let's have a look at that replay. That very hard landing right there by Fort, and that just opened the smallest of doors for Heath Davey. And the two lines here almost coming together. That was great evasive riding.
It was beautiful there, and I actually think the peak came down a little bit on Deegan Fort's bike when he came up short and landed in that soft patch. He landed so hard.
Our race leaders coming through some lap traffic right now. Through Dunlop Turn, up towards the big step up here.
Nice jump and beautiful line there, keeping away from those sharp bumps on the inside that we saw Deegan Fort hit just that little bit earlier on. Nice little jump. God, he's got a beautiful jumping style, doesn't he?
I was just about to say that. I'm looking forward to seeing this kid on an 80 hitting up some Supercross. He has got some confidence about him when it comes to jumping, and I think he's really going to be a solid Supercross rider.
Very comfortable jumping, super comfortable when it comes to these straight line ruts that we're talking about. He's got all kinds of tricks up his sleeve, that's for sure. Only a handful of corners to go. There is that G-out bump at the bottom of the hill there that we've spoken about. No problem whatsoever for Heath Davey, our race leader, as he gets towards this tighter section of the track with only a handful of corners to go before the checkered flag will wave and give him the ultimate day's racing, where you score yourself 1-1 for the overall. What a way to finish off the day here at QMP for Heath Davey.
Into the right-hander, they were very comfortable through these ruts down into this very last couple of turns. Davey has done everything almost perfect. Small mistake, obviously, somewhere around the track that we didn't see on camera, but he has managed to get himself straight back up and into the lead, and I can tell you why he is going to have a smile from ear to ear when he completes this one. Heath Davey, the 125 machine, will come across, greet the checkered flag, and take 2 from 2 in the Blue Crew 65 Cup. A great ride right there. And I think it was Fort that came across in second, and there was Townley up to the finish line, who will come across in third, so equal points. Be interesting to see them on the podium at the end of this one. A great day.
Both scoring 42 points apiece for Deegan Fort and Jager Townley. And, of course, it will be Deegan Fort who will earn that second spot overall due to his higher finishing place in the final moto. Rider going down there in that last corner, unfortunately, not the way you want to finish your race.
Yeah, Billy Hoy, unfortunately, just the last turn. Tip over, the up and going. They will lead out their race. We'll see the race winner back there at the podium already. What a day for these 65 Cup riders to go out there and have some fun.
Business as usual for the little man Heath Davey, who is no doubt getting as much practice in with his public speaking as he is with his riding. Let's take a look at the Blue Crew YZ65 Cup results for Moto number 2. Heath Davey with the win, Deegan Fort in second, Jager Townley in third, Lewis Cannon in fourth, and Sydney Stevenson rounding out the top 5.
Ethan Wolf come across in 6th, Eliza Dennis 7th, Zed McClucky back there in 8th, Mason Ezegales and Xavier Scott round out our top 10 of a huge field of YZ65s that have all gone out there and raced with the big boys, well, at least on the big boys track.
Yeah, what a fantastic opportunity for these kids here in front of such a huge crowd and such a gnarly national level track.
What a fantastic day this has been so far, Lee. Already we've seen some exceptional racing, and I think we're in for a hell of a lot more as we head down to Kate, who has our winners.
I've got Jager Townley here. Jagger, well done. What a ride.
Thanks.
Did you have the best time?
Yeah.
Okay, good chat. Okay, and in P2, Deegan Fort. Deegan, what a wild battle out there. You rode really well.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up to Heath. All the boys, actually, they're just really quick and it was not easy, so yeah.
Yeah, it looked tough out there.
Yeah, it was really muddy at the beginning. I didn't really like it, but now at the end of the moto, I thought it was one of the best tracks I've ever rode.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And another P1 for Heath Davey. Well done. What a wild ride at the end there.
Yeah, I had a bit of a mistake. Wasn't sure it was going to happen. A little lapper cross-rided and went into my line, and I hit the front brake a bit too hard and went over the bars. So
full on.
Yeah, it was pretty full on.
Okay, well done.
I'd just like to thank my mum and dad for bringing me, Yamaha Junior Racing, MCD, Panther Race Fuels, and everyone, 102 Motorsports, and everyone else. Thank you.
Good work.
Well, what an incredible job here for our YZ65 Cup crew. They did an amazing job, Danny Ham.
Yeah, great to see them out there. As we said, it's such a great experience for them, and really looking forward to seeing them in future rounds.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Danny Ham, Kate Peck and myself, Lee Hogan, thanks for joining us for our live stream. Make sure you tune in at 1 p.m. when we come back with SBS, Stan and Sky Sport New Zealand. Goodbye for now.